There should be a list. Hold on. Hold on. Fucking Streamlabs is a bitch.
Moment when Rep Burleson and your whole team put forward some footage. So yeah, I guess kick it to Rep Birchit now. How you doing, my friend? I would love to hear where you're at on all of this. You've really fought hard with all this. Where are we at?
Well, I'm honored to be here with you, especially with Representative Luna and Representative Burleson. They've really been in the trenches with me. I get patted on the back a lot just because, you know, my incredible good looks, I guess, puts me at the spotlight. But these two really, really ask the tough questions in the closed door meetings, and they push it, and they push the envelope, which they should. I'm completely discouraged, as always, with this thing, as I was the very first time we met, Jeremy. And George, thank you, brother. I've always admired your journalistic integrity. Back when I was I hate to say this, always makes people feel bad. Back when I was a kid, I watched you and, in Area 51 and all the rest of it. It's just, when Jeremy and I first contacted each other and said that he was going to bring you along, I was a little starstruck, as you meant. I mean, I've hung out with Kid Rock, so there you go. That tells you anything. And I will tell you, my dad would be very impressed with your office right there. My dad used to have a thing that said a clean desk is the sign of a sick mind. So obviously your mental capacity is very well, as I'm working.
As I sit here at the clean desk.
Yeah. But anyway, no, until we can get some good, I've said this many times, until either somebody walks out of a lab with something undeniable proof and we can get it on YouTube before they're suicided, or the President of the United States comes to it. Everybody says, well, President Trump ran on this. Not really. It's kind of like Epstein stuff. They just asked him at a press conference once or twice about it, and he said, yeah, sure, let's release it. And now somebody's obviously got his ear, and we need to get to it. I trust Trump. I think he'll do the right thing.
No.
But until we get to that level, I think we're kind of spinning our wheels. I love to get people to come testify, but we get diminishing returns, as you all know. I mean, you all helped spearhead our very first hearing, which was incredible. I mean, they said it was the largest attended hearing in over 10 years. And so, we broke some ground there, but I'm afraid we're just breaking the same dadgum ground right now. And we've got it. And with AI, I think we're getting set up a lot with stuff, not from you guys, but from some others that just get,
right.
They want to get a press release, and they're going to put something out. And dadgummit, it looks great to me. I was looking at something this morning, and I thought, well, if that's real, that's it. But, it's this AI stuff.
That's another reason why a lot of AI stuff needs to be stopped. It is a threat. Definitely is a threat to to everything, including the human race as a whole.
I don't see it with my own two dadgum eyes. I don't believe it anyway now.
Right.
Representative Burleson, do you feel frustrated by DOW and CIA and those agencies that they have contempt for Congress? And do you have something in mind that might make future hearings more productive?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. I think that we've had some amazing people come forward so far. I don't know how we top the level of credibility of the witnesses that have already come forward. That being said, I think if we have witnesses that have the smoking gun in their hands or have some different, very compelling evidence, then I think that would warrant having another hearing. Outside of that, well, I mean, we have a long list that we've been accumulating over the last year and a half or more of people that we need to talk to. But I think that if we were to call them to the hearing, these are people that would either plead the fifth or say that they can't talk because we're not in a secure set. So it would be very pointless to do it. So I think that as far as our investigation going forward for the time being, the only way to get to maybe the bottom of some answers is to do so through a subpoena process, so that we can give those witnesses cover and then bring them into a secure setting. And look, we have the authority. If as you've seen, I demonstrated very well in the committee hearing a willingness to defy norms and release to the public a video. And so I think that at the end of the day, if we know what we're doing is for the best for the American people, that the three of us are going to do that. And so I think that's, if that answers your question, that's kind of where the investigation is going from here. We have a list of also names of files that we're going to be requesting, that we have, people have tipped us off. These files exist. So, and we'll see if they turn us down on that as well.
Representative, you need subpoena power, right? To make this happen, your committee needs subpoena power. I've always wondered if we were given this committee, the task force, they said, you want to investigate UFOs? Fine. Here, you also got JFK, RFK, MLK, Epstein files, like they were giving you enough rope to fail at a limited time frame. You took the challenge on anyway.
Yeah, well, Epstein's now a full committee hearing, so that's now purview and jurisdiction of all of oversight, just because it's such an immense thing. By the way, for an update on that, we're still waiting on a list of names from the victims. So we've been following up weekly with the staff, and we haven't gotten anything yet, just for a quick update on that. But yeah, aside from that, I mean, the JFK stuff, we found some significant findings. I mean, we don't have the smoking gun per se, but we have more than enough to say that the U.S. government was absolutely involved without a question of a doubt. And so we will actually have a final report coming out on that. But specifically to the subpoena authorities, really how the task force has really been functioning, it's all on personal relationships. And so we have gotten some, and I don't want to say that the entire federal government is against what we're doing, because the fact is that there are certain directors that aren't, that are very much so supportive of what we're doing. And we have had a lot of open communication, sometimes directly, maybe not necessarily with the staff, then like the lower level staff, but definitely at the director level, and they've been supportive of it. So I think that, the difference between this administration and the last administration is the last administration didn't even pick up the phone. This administration's picking up the phone, and we are getting some forward momentum. Part of the reason why I said, we wanted to specifically declassify, at least declassify the stuff that we've seen. I think that the American people deserve to see that. And, if they think that it's a spy balloon, if they think that it's, a Chinese drone, let them decide. But definitely don't keep it classified for no reason.
Right.
And I think that would answer a lot of questions. Certainly, I came in looking at this to see what evidence we can be shown. When I'm being told as an investigator, you're being denied evidence, well, what do you think that says? So it's definitely has been an interesting process. But I think moving forward, we're going to continue to push on our end. And to answer your question, we can do other things, which we might try to do depending on if we think it's going to be successful or not, to kind of work around not having subpoena authority. But again, they gave me the task force because they know that I know the rules. And so we're figuring out ways to make it work. I feel like MacGyver, kind of from a parliamentary standpoint, if you guys know who MacGyver is. So
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Something I think needs to be addressed is I saw this morning Elon Musk had said that if he thought any of these were, you know, UFOs were from out of this world. I mean, there's fancier words being used, but he said, you know, from what he'd seen within his SpaceX stuff, he thinks it's all
He's full
domestic or whatever.
bullshit,
It's
isn't
all
it?
from this Earth, and that goes back to our point that these
Well,
departments,
the thing
by the
is, I remember Elon Musk saying that he had photos of real close UFOs and one of main occupants, something like that. And then he backed off, and then he said, this crap where they exist, I don't know about it, and all this other BS. And something changed his mind. You know what, buddy? If he came out again, because he came out before to say that he had pictures of UFOs and where you just about see the occupants. If he let on knew about ETs and these programs that I got, he could lose trillions of dollars, lose billions, trillions of dollars, and he wants money. So he's gonna say, hey, I'm the one that's gonna put us out into space. I'm the one that's gonna make space travel possible. I can do this. That's why he's 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 just another two-faced liar, just like the other politician, or you know, he's a two-faced. He's a liar. So.
design are so compartmentalized. And I was talking to a lady from NASA last night at a Christmas party, and she was asking me if I thought the UFOs were real. And I said, ma'am, you've defined the problem because you all have been so compartmentalized that, and Luna and Burleson I suspect will agree with this. If they don't embarrass me here on that podcast. But, within departments, I mean, we'll have people tell us, yes, they exist. This is what we're seeing. And then another one say, no, we don't have any evidence of that. And
there's two different analyses, like I said. There's the classified one, and then there's the public one. People inside will tell you that know about this will say the same thing. Is that there's the NASA that knows about UFOs, and also that also let's see, what do they do? They censor videos, photos of ETs, UFOs, seen on stuff like from ISS, International Space Station, to Mars, to the moon, to other planets, what's in space. They go over that and they censor stuff, and I forgot what the term is, I forgot what the word is, but they always they have a way of erasing that stuff. And then there's the public NASA and stuff that they don't know anything about UFOs. I don't know how the hell nobody can know about that. It's ridiculous. How could you not know about UFOs, ETs? It's impossible to. It doesn't make any sense how somebody couldn't know. But anyways,
it's just so compartmentalized by design to keep us off the track. You'd think they'd get some unified front and they'd have some blue ribbon committee or something. But the reality is, it's just you've got some people that are trying to control, and that's what Washington is all about. It's control, it's power, it's money, and if you can figure all that out, that's what the problem, where the problem lies, I think, in a lot of this. Because you when I sit in a meeting with these guys, and we've all been in the skiff, and we've all talked to pilots.
When NASA was first started, that the U.S. Air Force was against the military was because of UFOs. And they said, well, we want a public one that deals with astronomy, physics and science, and going out to space and colonizing the moon and Mars, etc. They caved in to that. The military said, okay, but we're going to have our own department of NASA. We're going to be in charge of it, Air Force, which it was. And stuff. So, like I said, there's two different NASA's. There's the public, and there's the military intelligence one that the military and stuff like that tightly controls. And I say there's different departments because nowadays, at least, where there's like another compartment, where some stuff people can get access to, and some people can't. So it's changed a bit over decades a bit, but
Pilots, and we've talked to whistleblowers, and then you talk to somebody else in that, and they say, no, we don't, I don't know what they're even talking about. You talk to our own intelligence committee, and you'll have members say, wow, this is something going on. And another one will say, yeah, I don't believe it. We haven't seen any evidence of this. So anyway, I think that's really part of the problem, is that we don't have a group that's actually spearheading this, and they're all chasing available tax
don't make a
dollars.
new department. Do
Because
not make a new
until America
department.
came
Don't
out,
do
until
that.
people
That's-
like yourself just came forward, and then we did the polling, and 55% of the country, something else is going on. Now everybody's UFO crazy, and these departments are coming to us thinking they're going to get more funding, not that they believe anything's going on. So that isn't like part of the problem. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in on you. I'm not supposed to be drinking.
No, this is an interview of you, man. But I want to nip that in the bud. I've heard that so much, and I think it does a disservice when people like Musk talk about it that way. We know these are not our black projects. If you talk to the pilots from the Tic Tac episodes, right, there are protocols for black budget when you see them. We spent so many resources investigating whose these were. We're not sending our own craft up over nuclear sites, and UFOs go back into history so far. That's a whitewash of the truth when people start saying these are our black projects, maybe one or two. But when we're talking about the vast majority of what looks like a reconnaissance mission, man, we have a real problem here. And if we're obfuscating by saying, oh, these are just out.
ETs have been here before we were. They had, I say that they had a part into our creation, meddling with our DNA and stuff like that. But they've been here forever. Just about, so.
Then we're missing the point. I want to go back to footage real quick. Arrow just released on their site some 3 more images of UAP. It's hilarious. I have seen, George Knapp has seen, we've obtained better footage. And Rep. Burleson, we should talk about that. Talking about having people testify with evidence. We've offered that before. That's something George and I could talk to you about. Physical, visual evidence. But under Arrow's releases, they said, the performance characteristics and behaviors are unremarkable and do not warrant further analysis. So they put out 3 videos that they're not even going to investigate because they're unremarkable. Why did they put them out when you and your team were able to put out in this last hearing a great piece of footage? Have you heard more about that footage since you guys put it out?
No, and just so you guys know, I have to leave.
I think the reason why they did that is obvious, because they wanted them to see it. That's why. They want them to see it. They said, here, we don't want anything to do with it. Here, it's not worth it. And that's reverse psychology, classic reverse psychology.
Actually, in a few minutes, so I'll answer this, and I'm going to hop off and then kick it to Burleson and Burchett. It's been interesting is Arrow from the get-go has not been an honest broker with Congress. That's been my opinion. I don't think we need to keep funding Arrow. I think that they are a complete, whatever they are doing, unacceptable. But I also can tell you, we've seen some stuff that I want to get declassified that you just can't explain. And to say and to put out certain information, yet deny Congress access, we have the letter where they straight up denied out of the Department of War where this footage is housed, us even the ability to see it, even in a skiff, that's a problem. It's a problem for a number of things. Even let's play devil's advocate. Let's say that this was technology from a foreign government. Don't you think you might want to inform Congress, especially the oversight bodies of Congress, to ensure that these things are legitimate? And so we have to be careful because, the task force is valid and they've tried on a number of occasions, not just with this, but other things. We get people that talk to us all the time, giving us, BS stories, but then we have the real legitimate ones that come forward. My concern is that if we put out then information that is wrong, then they have a reason to take the task force. So it's a delicate balance of things, but I do appreciate my colleagues, and I call Representative Burchett and Burleson my co-chairs on this topic. So I'm going to kick it to my co-chairs. Thanks for all you guys are doing, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Rep. Luna.
Yeah, I think Arrow is, I think they're showing their work, if you will. They're kind of in a predicament where I don't think that they're getting the access that they need. That's the sense that I get when I talk to the people in the Arrow. that they're kind of getting stonewalled in some aspects. So, but I think that what they're attempting to do by releasing a video like these photos of these videos that they just recently released, and I'm not speaking for them. I'm just saying, like, in this world, for example, we had the Lou Elizondo image that somebody gave to him. He even couched it that it wasn't that he hadn't had time to look at it at this photo of the UFO, and really it wasn't a UFO. It was a geological feature of an agriculture area where there's two disc-shaped fields make the appearance of a floating UFO. If you guys remember that photo, well, that it's good that that's out there, that people know that that's debunked, right? And the more that I think the Arrow can do to take any kind of photos or videos that start entering.
Actually, I think that might have been real and it wasn't debunked. I'm not so sure about that. I don't think that was totally debunked. I think some people just. I don't. But anyways.
Into the mainstream and debunk the ones that truly need to be debunked, then we can move on. So to me, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. It's going to be a lot easier to find the needles if you start separating the parts of the hay from that are not a needle, if that makes sense. So I think that at the end of the day, we have to work with agencies like Arrow, but also know that, and at the end of the day, like, I don't know that I can trust anybody up here, anybody in this town. So you just kind of have to know that going into
That's
it.
pretty sad.
You released this video during the September hearing, and it was a bomb going off. Have you had feedback from the Department of War or technical folks who may have worked with the kinds of sensors that picked that up, who said, hey, here's what that is, and tried to explain it? Or has it been the opposite of that?
The only thing I can say is I can't talk about it.
Rep Burchett, so you've been fighting tooth and nail on this topic, and I know it gets frustrating sometimes.
That's
Recently,
their problems. Not me. I straight out say it. Whether you like it or not. I'm sick of the secrets. I'm sick of their bullshit saying you can't talk about it. F you. It's not good enough. That's just BS. I don't respect that.
been talking about how you were informed of underwater bases and that kind of thing.
Yep.
Did you find when you were informed about that it came from somebody credible? And is that something that's actionable?
Yeah, I did actually. And it's funny how when these things come out, as I know you, Jeremy, and you, George, have both, and to Eric, or Representative Burles, excuse me, he's my buddy. He's a great friend. I'm probably close to half a dozen people in Washington that I'd actually trust, and Eric happens to be one of them. He's a...
I catch you, Birch.
Yeah. I don't need any compliments, dude. I'm good. You're a man. You're the man. You're steady, and you study the things, and you come to a rational conclusion. I tend to sometimes get a little emotional and jump at some of this stuff, get a little ticked off. But yeah, I've talked to several people, and just the numbers alone, when you're seeing that the sightings are over the ocean, and then you do a little more research, and a lot of these areas are deep water areas. We have 5 or 6 of those. I don't know enough about the ocean, obviously. We know, as they've stated many times, we know more about the surface of the moon than we do the ocean floor. But these things are happening over deep water areas, and we have testimony, and we have people telling us they got on sonar something big as a dadgum football field going 200 miles an hour under the water. I mean, I shoot guns occasionally, but if I'm sitting at the end of the pool, say I've got a 45 and I got a 30-foot pool and I shoot it, it won't even probably make it to the wall the wall of the other side of the pool underwater. I mean, this is something that we don't understand, and yet we've continuously hid this stuff and not put it out to the public. And there's got to be a reason for it. And I don't think it's ours, because we can put something around 30, maybe 40 miles an hour underwater. We probably have something a little faster, but this is something exponentially faster than what we can understand. And it's obviously not some animal. I mean, a megalodon wasn't even big as a football field. You can look up that's a prehistoric shark. All they have is a tooth of it. They don't have anything else. But, that's evolution, I guess. That's scientists. I don't know. But anyway,
He's right.
yeah.
Don't
And I've
all
talked to
make
too many
sense.
people. And it just seems to me that with the science that we have in our limited brain's capability, that something traveling light years is just beyond our grasp. So to me, it makes more sense that if there is something out there, that they would have to be something based in an area. Now, where the heck are they going to base it? They're not going to base it in Knoxville, Tennessee, or New York City, or, even in the Amazon, because with satellite capabilities. But these deep, it just stand to reason that deep water would be where it was at if we had this kind of capabilities. I'm just
Well,
talking.
honestly, I think he knows it. I think he just slipped his mind. Is that they're underground. They could be in mountains. They're inside. They are inside mountains. They're underground and stuff like that. They can manipulate space-time around us, and that's how they get here. It's not. If you look at, and I've seen these craft. I've seen little ones this big. Little ones. I call them little ones. I've seen them appear, and they're just two. So they're moving through space and time. They're able to do that. They fold space and time on itself, and it's just like nothing. People think too much. Humans have a big problem. I should say, mathematicians, physicists, scientists, they can't understand it. Like for me, it just is what it is. And how people sometimes fly it was by psychic telepathy, stuff like that, that flies on this craft, or whatever. If they do different, it's different. But for me, it's just, it is what it is. And it's not about traveling light years, because it's about just going through a hole through space and time, opening one, and going out of it. That's what they do. I've seen it. And I understand it. And all these other scientists that are in their field say it can't be done to space. Says, well, maybe it does if we use quantum mechanics and stuff like that. And to me, it's just stupid and ridiculous, because you don't need to know about all that. It just is what it is to me, and everything. It's like you go through physics, quantum mechanics, theoretical physics, and all this other stuff, and science. You're gonna mess up. It isn't gonna make sense, because you have to be questions, and you see what's right in front of you. If you see stuff right in front of you, how it happens, it's just like, yep. And they make it too complicated. And where we have bases where we work with non-human intelligence, that's underground, where it's inside a mountain, whether it's at national parks and stuff like that, which they do use sometimes, or there, or underwater, like off Catalina, Puerto Rico, around Russia, there, Japan. Um, there are dozens upon dozens. It's a lot bigger than people even. I think they're just there, and everything. So
Statistics. And then I've talked to an admiral who stood right here in my office. I remember right before he went out that door, which was kind of unusual because you guys have been in my office. Everybody walks in the regular door, but he wanted to go out the side door. And then as I was walking him out, he wanted to avoid anybody. He said to me, just looked at me straight in the eye and said, "Tim, these things are real." But I've had others since, after I've come out with this, because people will openly mock me. Or my friend Matt Gates had me on, and I think he shares a similar belief. And he was asking me about it. And I said, look, I'm not saying it's the truth. I'm just saying that this is statistically where this stuff has happened. So immediately what happens is guys like me and Burleson get made fun of when we come forward with something like this. But here I am at a dadgum Christmas party last night. Nobody asked me about Obamacare. Nobody asked me about the border.
That's
Three people, and these are educated people, come up to me and say, hey, brother, what's the story on these UFOs? Or
What?
they say, I'm a believer. I saw something. I can't explain it. And they say,
That makes
thank
no
you.
fucking
I'm walking through the
sense.
dadgum airport, Washington, D.C. This rather large man walks past me. It's kind of unusual because he was carrying a, thought it was a volleyball, but it was a soccer ball. Obviously, I didn't play either one of those. I played football, but probably due to the head injuries, that's why I'm sitting here talking to you all like a babbling idiot. And I'll never forget this. It was 3 weeks ago at the Washington airport, and he was going the opposite direction. And he said, and I just thought, that's kind of unusual. I didn't think much of it. And I heard somebody yell, Congressman Burchett. And I have an inner ear problem. So sometimes those voices, I think, are inside my head. And I turned,
yeah,
and this rather large man walks up to me and says, and I won't say what department he worked for, but he was in the intelligence. And he looked at me straight in the eye and said, are they real? And I said, I believe they are. He said, that gummit, I knew it. and, we had a conversation. It was just,
How do
it was just a random deal. So America's hungry for this, and thank you guys, both y'all. You too, Eric, but these two guys they're pioneers in this thing. They've been carrying the water on this forever because America wants to know the truth, and I think we deserve to know the truth. Again,
the world does.
I've been in many conversations with
I have
people,
to
and
say, this is a global thing, and this is about humankind, and we're not all human. This is just a flesh bag that we wear. It's just a bag of flesh. This isn't who we really are. Who we really are is energy. It's that be gone the other side before. I found this that we are electromagnetic energy pretty much, and it's like so we're capable of so much more than what we think of just the flesh and everything else. We have so much more abilities than anyone could ever imagine. And it's not just about America, we're all in this together, actually. Um, this one thing I like, one reason I like all this stuff to come out is because we need to put aside the stupid tribalism, stupid races, stupid color skin BS and everything. It's like, they only think of us in one way, they only think of us as humans. As stupid humans or orangutans. They have played with their stupid toys too much, like nuclear weapons and stuff like that. But that's how it is. It's a global thing, and their powers bigger than us. They want to keep it secret. They want wars to continue. They want they just want to cover everything up.
and they start on me, little green men, blah, 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 flying saucers, whatever, Burchett, you've been probed or something, just something smart aleck. And I said, look, I just want to know what we're spending $1 billion on, the bottom line. I got one group saying they don't exist in the department, other groups say they do exist. Burleson and I have both seen things that we're not allowed to talk about. What the hell is going on, and where's our dadgum money going to? And that's what we need. And that's why nobody trusts government. Not just the UFO issue, but the whole thing. Because we are arrogant and we think we know better. The Bible talks about that and says, professing yourself to be wise, you became a fool. Dadgum, this town's run by fools because we need to trust the American public. Because, these are educated people coming up to me, dude. It's not all just people like me. These are heavily educated folks that are talking about this stuff. So, all right, we heard but it just really gets me ticked off. And you guys have been great. And thank you, Brisson, because you came at this thing and wide open. And, and you've been, some things have been disclosed to you that have, that you maybe at the time didn't fully grasp it all, but you got it now. And I appreciate you, brother, because you're not one of those that turns on you. You don't turn and run. So thank you, brother.
Representative Burchett, we heard you say in another interview that you pretty much know where at least 5 of these bases are, and that you know why they're in that spot. Is it something beyond it's deep and it's hidden, or is there some other reason
They're
where these
different
USO
reasons.
bases might be where you believe they are?
I think it's deep, it's hidden,
Yeah,
and I think some people know about it.
we
If
do.
if it,
I know
if in
about some
fact
of
they
it.
exist, I think they do.
They
And
do.
I,
I know still about
you know,
these ideas.
the more you get into this thing, the more the people come to you. And as I stated, I'm a Christian. I'm not a very good one. And people talk about it being demonic and
It's
that
not.
back and forth and how it could upset the balance
It's
of
total
Christianity
bullshit.
and stuff. And I just don't believe that, dude. I think
It's not. I'm sick of these religious people saying us demons are angels. There are demons and there are angels. I've been dead at our side different times, and no matter what, it's not just humans and angels and demons out there. There are a lot of different other non-human intelligences out there. A lot of different ones, dozens or whatever. Okay, it's not just as you can't. I mean, they try to do that to scare people. It's a scare tactic. They try to make it about evil good versus evil, um, and it's not. And I've called out a lot of stupid religious people out on this BS because disinformation they're lying about. They don't know what they're talking about. There are good ETs and there are bad ETs, just like there are bad and good human beings out there. Same way with them. There are ETs out there that'll make the worst criminal in prison look like you know, a bad, school, fifth grader in school, a wannabe or something like that. Um, and there was a lot of us enlightenment, spirituality, and for us to be able to have, you know, psychic abilities, and for us to be more than what we are in its form as we know it, and everything. And the thing is, all these Bibles, the Torah, the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, and stuff, they're all wrong, but there's some of it that is right in it. This stuff. It's like, yes, there's Jesus Yeshua, there is, indeed. But with me and them, I have beef with some of those. But the thing is, let's just say if I was God, I would not allow any of this bad stuff to happen. And a lot of people don't know the violence on this planet like I do, especially Americans. They don't. They have no idea how bad it is out there in third world. The violence that happens. And it's something, if I was God, I would not allow it to happen. But I just, because I see animals killing animals, I see humans doing this and that. It's not something, if I was God, I would never allow that. That's me. Uh, but I just want to put that out there. And for me and, gods, they're different. It's complicated, and it's not going to make sense to a lot of people unless they went to their side themselves, too. But it's like it's like these gods exist, but they don't. And God is many. The God is many different gods, and one stuff like that. That's as close as I can put it. And the thing is, it doesn't. Religion has nothing to do with you getting to heaven or hell. It has nothing to do with that. It's how you treat people, and if you're a psychopathic murderer or whatever, killer, or just an evil person and stuff. So,
Genesis 1, God created the heavens and the earth. First chapter of Ezekiel. Ezekiel saw the wheel, a wheel within a wheel. And
wheels, the sky.
I think it's, honestly, do you think we're the best?
Like I said, and I have to be honest, because I have beef with the gods that are out there. I don't like them. I don't respect them because of what happens, bad stuff that happens here on Earth, and the pain and misery that happens. I would never allow that. If I was your God, if I was people's God, I would not allow this stuff to happen. Never. Okay? But I gotta say, in these Bibles, in the Bible, the Torah, Quran, whatever, or if there's uh, Hinduism or whatever, okay, there's some truth to that, to these books. There's some goodness, but there's also a lot of falseness, a lot of stuff that is not real. And you got different tribes that are saying our way is the only way to get to heaven. If you don't go our way, you're going to hell. That's complete bullshit. That is a lie. And they use that to try to divide, conquer, to try to control people, and try to tell people our way is the only way. If you don't go our way, go to hell. That's not true. That's not true.
Yes, God can do. Yeah, and I think there's some people that get it, and
Symbolism.
either they're not allowed to talk or they've been silenced.
Yeah.
And that's why they discredit people like me and Burleson, or try to.
The two of you get hammered with the same kind of stuff that Jeremy and I get slapped with pretty much every day, and it kind of rolls off our backs after a while.
Yep.
Has anyone taken it further where they want to use it as an issue in upcoming elections for either or both of you?
Yeah, they have. They've used it against me, and it's more of a whisper campaign and a dark money kind of thing, for me anyway. And it affects my ability to raise money, because I don't raise a lot of money, and that's how they kill you off up here.
Yeah.
Is they cut your. I'm not
Not
able to raise the money that a lot of my colleagues do.
Their balls off.
But go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
No, I've had a reporter who I think is has demonstrated that he's a disgusting person, actually try to recruit my opponents. So on social media, if we're on over this topic, if that gives you an idea, I'm not afraid of that, but there's certainly we do draw some attention, some negative attention.
Has anyone come to you and said, look, there's a good reason this has been a secret for so long? We've had other presidents have expressed interest in it, other members of Congress over the decades. There seems to be something that they use at the end to tell people like you guys, this is why we can't spill the beans on this topic.
I've had that deep throat moment, the moment where
deep throat, yeah.
the Nixon thing, where they come to you in an area, it's and I always heard they always use somebody that's close to you, and I've had that moment.
You know what? I say it again. I've said it before, I say it again. Nixon got a bad rap. He did. And I remember some of this. Nixon did nothing more than any other president has done. Their presidents have done a lot worse than Nixon has. I don't think what he did is wrong. I think that's what presidents do. Their job in a lot of ways is to overstep. And they have that authority in some ways, whether we like it or not. And not even spy on people or whatever. What president doesn't do that? What the president doesn't want, or spy on a group or whatever. But thing is, if you're to go after Nixon, you better go after all these other presidents that are doing their corrupt as well. Because it doesn't matter what party you're in. And then you need to go after intelligence community that does it as well. Good luck with that.
Was in the tunnel. Somebody that kind of shocked me, really, came up to me and said, Burchett, said, do you really want to do this? You really want to upset this apple cart? And said that how it could affect, religion and all this other stuff. And I go back to Moskowitz. I don't know if y'all remember Jared Moskowitz in one of the opening press conferences. Jared, I'm jealous of his brain, because he's got we don't agree politically on a lot of things, but his brain is incredible. And he said, that the arrogance of these people thinking that we can't handle this. It's not their job to decide what we can handle. He said it much more eloquent way, but anyway, yeah, I've had that moment, and I more than once, but one particularly sticks in my head.
Representative Burleson, same thing.
I've had some amazing conversations. A lot of people that won't come forward are some of the most amazing conversations. Whether they have their story is that they worked for a contractor of a contractor of a contractor, right? And they were basically working in some way or touched this topic, encountered a UAP directly. I've spoken to people who the intelligence community has a level of credible belief that they have the ability to talk to, like mentally talk to some kind of entities.
Yeah,
that was a conversation in my office that I'll never forget. I'm not saying that I believe everybody that I talk to, but what I do believe is the people that come forward and the people that I do talk to, they believe what they've experienced, and I don't think that at the end of the day, that's why I'll meet with anybody, pretty much anybody. And when you get involved in this topic, you guys know this. There's so many factions in the UAP community that you'll have people say, "Well, you can't talk to that person. You can't trust them, and they're X, Y, Z." I don't. That's not the way I operate. I will talk to you. I'm not because, and if somebody has a beef with another person, I'm not gonna. I don't have the beef right with the other person, so I'm gonna talk to him. And I'm going to listen. I'm going to take them seriously. But I'm also going to try to keep that information and kind of ascertain what can you truly investigate to verify what they're saying, and what's the truth, right? And so I do believe that a lot of people coming forward are true patriots, and they have seen something that they can't explain. Now, I do think that sometimes people do jump to conclusions often, and I've come to the conclusion that
listen. I mean, I've been around the military all life and Air Force bases, etc. And for people like me, there are some times when I can get things wrong, but it's a pretty rare, but it has happened. That's the way you take the camera and blow it up and stuff like that. I need to get better equipment, but when this drone thing started, which some of it, like I said, a lot of it was a scam. There were drones out there. I knew it was a drone, and a lot of people didn't know a drone from UFO. And I'm like, why would they think that's a UFO? But then when I've seen some representatives, or governor, or some people, some people from Congress say, I forgot where I did a video on it, where it's like this drone could turn into a UFO to circle disc. When UFO, they can do that. UFOs can make themselves look like clouds, can make themselves look like drones, and etc. So you have to look at that. But the thing is that I'm not saying it's always that's the case. It's not. It's rare, but people should learn more about what's in the sky. So because drones are not UFOs unless it morphs in and out from UFO to the drone, and they should know what an F-16, F-16, F-15, F-14, F-117, and B-2 bomber is. They should know the difference between those and a UFO. They should. So I mean, you got, it's just people need to really educate themselves for that.
This is real, if it truly is UAP, it's probably, and we all have to recognize this, that 99.9% of the photos, the videos, the interactions people have are probably not something extraterrestrial. And it doesn't mean that maybe, just maybe that 1% truly is, but I think that we have to recognize the fact that I think Elon Musk was probably right in that if aliens do exist, they're pretty subtle. I think that they're pretty good at hiding themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Tim,
those-
Representative Burchett, you've
show
made public
self-force
statements that
media
you're trying to get
they
15
know
minutes
me
with the
very
president to talk to him and to encourage him to go
He's
ahead and
right
spill the
about
beans.
that.
I'd like to hear from both of you what percentage you would give on the likelihood of that happening. Because as you both know, he's had briefings before.
Right.
He's heard.
When I was last out there, when I was doing this stuff and recording some of them, UFO stuff like that, I tried to take the camera out, they'd fizzle out. They immediately fizzle out. And they do not want to be seen on camera. It's like, why are you scared to be on camera? I've had you guys on camera before. So some are selective and stuff. And some UFOs I've gotten on film, picture, I don't know why the fuck other people didn't see it. It's right in front of their faces. And the only way that I know that's real is I have it on camera. I have it on film or whatever. Okay? So I know it's not in my head. That's the only way you're going to know, right? But, so I mean, yeah, so sometimes they don't want to be seen. And then again, for some of our military tries to down them, and I'm afraid for them. I'm afraid for the ones that I know, the ETs that I know out there. I worry about their well-being because I know there are evil people in our military. They're trying to down these things. Now, if they're bad, evil ones, I don't give a fuck about them. But I do care about the ones that have communicated with me. They have not tried to do anything bad to me. And I do care, and I have a lot of love for it. So,
Heard from our best pilots. He said, yeah, these are brilliant guys, but yeah, I don't really believe it.
Well,
What do you think?
100%. If I get 15 minutes with him, I'm going to talk to him about it. What he'll do is a Trumpism, is what he'll do.
I think where you're coming about the truth, there are one of two ways. It's going to be outside of the government. The government is, I don't believe that the intel agency or the Pentagon is going to actually come forward with the evidence. It's going to have to take an executive action by the president, or the other way that it could happen is completely outside of this government, whether it's private individual, or another country. I think that's probably.
This up. There's still too idiots out there that are brainwashed. They don't want to know that there is UFOs, extraterrestrials, they didn't try. And it doesn't matter. We have proof. The proof is already out there. The proof is out there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. And I think, I mean, I don't want, so as I don't want to put the videos that I have out there because I don't want the government sticking their nose into my business. I want those efforts away from me. But it's like, it's up to us to force the truth out. The people. The public. We have to get this stuff out there because if we're not going to do it, we're not doing our job. And plenty of people can say, I'm not doing my job on that, and I don't understand that. But it's like those of us that are in the know and stuff like that, we're going to have to force it out. Because the presidents, these presidents are bought, paid for, and they're corrupt. You can't trust politicians to do it, especially if they can make money off of this magic / technology, which Trump is definitely wanting to do. So this includes the intelligence community. Now, you have admirals that keep this, general stuff like that that go into the stuff that's being made to re-engineer these craft, and they go into the contractors, the defense contractors, and they want to keep it a secret. They want to make money off of it by buying up stock in these companies that are reverse engineering these craft, and they don't want the truth out there. They want to make money off of it. This is the intelligence community. This is people that have been in the military, the higher up the chain of command, etc. It's just corrupt.
This scenario because we just have too much pushback from within our established military industrial complex.
It is.
I got a question for you, Rep. Burleson. So I remember when you showed the footage that you were going to put out in the hearing, and what was great was George and I had already been exposed to that video. We were able to confirm it. If you remember, I got you on the phone with somebody later that night who was a Navy officer who was able to affirm to you that that is an actual, on a server, a UAP being fired at to the best of their knowledge. So you've really put yourself out there. You've fought hard to get this information forward. I just want to recognize a few things you've done. In the last hearing, you encouraged people to read the Immaculate Constellation report by Matthew Brown. You said that during the hearing. I really appreciate that. I think it's very important.
It takes such great courage to come forward, and we acknowledge that, and I hope that you see that we are taking that seriously. And so very thankful for what you're doing today. I'm also very thankful for previous witnesses that have come forward. I see Matthew Brown in the audience. He courageously stepped forward and was as a witness. I encourage everybody to look and seek his testimony.
You also entered into congressional record. It was these words will ring for me. You said, "I'm entering Lakatsky's claim for the record regarding the DIA's assessment of non-human craft entry and materials." That was based on George's and my interview with Dr. Lakatsky, where he says, the government has a UFO. He ran the UFO program. Dr. James Lakatsky came on our show. He ran the UFO program for the Defense Intelligence Agency, and he admitted on our show that they breached the hull of a UFO in government possession.
You reported James Lakatsky came to you with government possession of NHI craft and how they ultimately gained entry. Can you testify to the veracity of that claim?
Dr. Lakatsky is an honorable man who served most of his career with the DIA, a very trusted, high-level rocket scientist and intelligence analyst who inspired the OSAP program, as I said earlier. He said this craft, we had managed to get inside of it. It had no wings, no rotor, no tail. It had no fuel tanks. They didn't know how it flew or how it was operated. It looked like it was aerodynamic, but he would not go further. He's a by-the-book guy, and until he gets clearance to say more about that, I don't think we're going to hear much more. But it's not ours. It wasn't ours. We didn't make it. We didn't know who made it and how it was built and how it operated. We've got at least one. And I don't know, I think that's enough confirmation that we do have recovered discs and material.
So, and you put that in congressional record. Do you have a way that you can, find out where is it? He can't tell us, but maybe he can tell you. Where is that craft? Can you go hunt it down? Can you go see it?
That's an interesting question. When it came to Lakatsky, and I watched his interview that he did with you guys, and here's what my response to him is, because he was frustrated that we hadn't reached out to him, but he also admitted that, which is what I was told, and the reason why we haven't reached out to him is that he's not going to tell us anything that's not in his books.
Well, hold on. You did reach out to him. There have been 3 hearings. I reached out to him on behalf of Congress officially.
That's right.
Twice to say, and I had congressional members talk with him the hearing before the last one. He just forgot. But the point is that maybe with you guys in the correct environment, with the right clearances, he can tell you where it is, and you can just put this to bed and go find it.
Yeah, and I remember that. I remember that he was one of the people that we had tasked you to go to reach out to. And for those people that are kind of asking why would we? Why? How did that relationship work? Look, we don't have all the contact information for all these people. Why repeat the work that you two have done in building these contacts in your networks? And so you basically patriotically dedicated your time for free, helping us make contact and kind of coordinate some of those witnesses. And you know, I had been told Lukatsky is probably not going to reveal anything that you know that he hasn't already revealed.
Well,
We
that's
and we
because federal law. You sign that NDA. That's 25 years to life imprisonment. To scare anybody to not say anything. I mean, you know, they could say we want you in prison. Is Trump going to allow it? You know, I've seen Trump. You know, what is it called? Pardon anybody that has blurred out secrets. Until that happens, I don't think anybody is going to feel compelled to spill everything, you know. And people don't give too much of a shit what I say about what I know, what I think I know, you know, from what other people have told me or what I see, what I've been around, whatever. You know, I don't, I have been inside the military, I've been around it. You know, that's from other people and my father being around in it, and stuff like that. Um, and luckily, even if I had that 25-year thing on me, I'd still have to say something. Um, I regret not saying anything earlier, but what happened happened. But like I said, 25 years, unless somebody can keep him from being killed, um, or you know, unless somebody could pardon him, uh, there's a reason why they're not gonna just spill the beans on everything.
everybody when I talked to people, it seemed like it wasn't going to be new information, and therefore to me he wasn't as high of a priority. But to your point, I think getting him in a skiff and seeing if there's maybe any additional room for him to talk, that would be it might be worthwhile to do that.
I think he might. I mean, the last conversations that we've had, it seems like he's edging closer to the idea that under right circumstances, he would be willing to share information with Congress, which would be great. I want to ask you this. You're both aware of the film Age of Disclosure. The one thing that was new to me in that film was the statement by James Clapper, former DNI, admitting that the U.S. Air
Hold on. I need to take. Be right back. James Clapper, former defense, let's see, Department of National Intelligence, admitting that the U.S. Air
Force
Force.
has had an ongoing UFO investigation, a UFO program. In one sense, that doesn't that doesn't surprise me at all. But for him to say it on the record, that seems like that's something that Congress could pursue, should pursue, and Clapper needs to explain how this thing has been hidden, and the U.S. Air Force has to be called on the carpet to answer about that, right?
I agree.
Rep. Burchett?
I agree 100%. When they make a public disclosure like that, we need to call them on the carpet, and I would hope that we would get to the bottom of it. You know, the problem you'll have is, of course, when they get the pressure and they get the visit from the guys in the suits, they're going to say I was misquoted. It was taken out of context,
Yeah,
and
they would,
you know, the usual
what Rubio
stuff,
said,
and the usual
yeah.
suspects will walk away, and then we're left scratching our heads on what the heck's going on again.
Right.
And I warn folks, everybody, you know, and Eric's seen this happen many times. When they put us in the skip with somebody, and then they tell us something, you know, we're not allowed to talk about it, and then that's why a lot of times I won't go to classified briefings, because I kind of know what they're going to say, and I'm afraid if it's something that I've already processed that I can't talk about it, and it's a trap, and the big boys use that.
Bullshit. It's just bullshit. They should never be allowed to do that, because they're treating the people like Neanderthals, like nothing but chimps. It's like they say, you guys are too retarded to know the truth. You guys are too stupid. You guys don't have a right to know anything about what's going on and how to write. We're putting them in power. We're supposed to be in charge of these mother effers. They're not supposed to be able to have these secrets. When the forefathers made this country, okay, it wasn't for them to be in charge of us. It was supposed to be us voting them into office to do our bidding. They're supposed to do our bidding, not us doing their bidding. And it's totally changed. I'm sick and tired of this bullshit. This scam. Saying it has nothing. It's not supposed to be classified. And they have no right to keep any of these secrets from us. Total BS. It goes everything which this country stood for, goes everything what the founders had envisioned and wanted to have this country run on. It's totally different direction.
That honest.
Representative Burleson, that's go ahead.
I think we need to have a conversation with Clapper. I think that it's going to have to be behind closed doors, because there's no possible way that he will agree to come to a public hearing unless he's subpoenaed, because of the other activity outside of UAP. That he's currently being investigated on by this administration, right? So I think that we will have to have that conversation in a private way.
But they have to have the votes.
Just seems like the U.S. Air Force has been incredibly non-productive and non-open, not very open with Congress, with the public, ever since the December.
This is why, like I said, it's up to us, the people, to force the truth out. Because they're not going to do it. They're going to lie to the people. And the thing is, there's too many people I feel that are stupid enough to believe in what their government's telling you is true. It's not. The government is always lying to the people about stuff. Always, all the time. You know, what the politicians do is the will of their party. You know, what's good for the party. It's not about what's good for the people so much. You know, when they first get in, when we first run, they have good intentions usually to change. Unfortunately, when they're in it, when they get in, they find things are very corrupt. And you have to work with your party, you have to do the will of the party to get anything you want done for the people or whatever. It's like quid pro quo, except for you're selling your soul to the party and stuff like that. And like I said, they're not going to do. It's up to us to force the truth out there and everything.
of 2017 when the topic got a real jolt from the New York Times article. The Navy has made it easier for pilots to report. The stigma has been decreased. We don't hear anything from the Air Force. Project Blue Book supposedly ended their investigation, even though it wasn't much of an investigation. It was more like a PR exercise. And they've been silent ever since. They've got data. They've got videos and evidence. And now that we know that there is an ongoing program, seems like they need to come to Jesus and spill some beans.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. And I'm looking forward to that day, but I'd warn you, just like that big UFO report that's supposed to come out about 7 years ago or whatever, and I said it's going to look like and they were saying it's coming out tomorrow, it's going to be big. And then I said, it's not coming out tomorrow. I said they'll pull it back when what they had was a real report that told some real facts that would have shook up the status quo. And they pulled it back, and I said it's going to look like somebody shot it with a 12 gauge of all the stuff redacted out of it. And dadgummit, that's exactly what happened. They pulled it back 30 days later, and they brought out this bogus report. It said absolutely nothing. And there we are.
I think we need to hear also from the Department of Energy. That seems to be an area that is not there's not much oversight over the.
Nobody usually suspects the DOE. When people hear Department of Energy, the only thing they think about is energy, the electricity that goes into our homes. That's it. The DOE has two different parts, like NASA does. They have the public part, and then they have the classified military part, and military contractor part. And the other part is that they're doing high energy weapons. They're doing stuff on reverse engineering extraterrestrial craft. All these different things that seems like science fiction and stuff. Star Wars type stuff and everything. And I think that even I do forget about how the Department of Energy is very much involved in a lot of cryptid stuff that's going on. Other beings that are living on this planet right now. When I say cryptids, I hope people know what that is. Just other beings that are, around these spaces. That I was doing a video on, their part of energy knows about all this stuff, and they need to be investigated a lot more often. It's not just intelligence, military branches. And part of energy is also involved in this as well.
Classified sections of the Department of Energy, and so I think that's an area that there's some strings that we need to pull in there.
So like closed door briefings or in skiffs or public, we all want public, but there are some things that got to be done behind closed doors. In the last hearing, when George was testifying, I think it was Rep. Burchett who asked the question, or I think it was both of you, who are some of the gatekeepers? And George actually named a name, Glenn Gaffney.
Are any of you willing to name specific gatekeepers within the root cell of the UAP-SAP Federation?
You mean specific people and contractors that have dealt with us and kept the secret?
Specific individuals.
Glenn Gaffney, CIA.
Glenn Gaffney, CIA. Another question for you, Mr. Knapp.
He was the CIA's science and technology head at the time when Lockheed Martin was trying to take UAP material and transfer them over to the OSAP program, which was the true UFO program that received the $22 million called OSAP. Dr. James Lukatsky ran that. So he gave you in testimony, George did, a name of one of the gatekeepers, Glenn Gaffney, CIA Science and Technology, at that time of the material transfer of UFO materials from Lockheed to a government program called ALSAP under the DIA. Now that you know that, can you go after an interview with Glenn Gaffney from the CIA and ask him, what was this all about, this UFO transfer that's now recorded in history. Can you go after him, you guys?
Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, I think we can certainly reach out. He's one of the people that's on my list. Well, at this point we've got, I mean, it's a long list, and I'm going to have to go to the Chairman Comer, and kind of ask him what, and kind of give him the list to say these are the people.
This is the problem, is that there are only a few people that want to get to the bottom of this and want some stuff outed, while the rest of Congress doesn't really give a shit. It's like they have to get the chair people, they have to get consent from them. If they don't have consent from them, if they don't have enough people, then they won't ever get called. They won't ever get called. I know that chairman is going to be changing soon with the new elections and stuff like that. And I see just a lot more stuff being swept under the rug. And that's where the people are supposed to come in, and we're supposed to put the truth out there. We're supposed to be outing this stuff out there. So
People I need to talk to. Some of them we may have to subpoena. Are you willing to do that? And that's where we are at this point. And so we've been gathering those names and those files, and that's our next step.
You also said that you and Burchett might do.
I don't want to keep trickling it to him. The reason why I don't want to keep trickling it to him, because I can't do that to the chairman, right? I really need to just bring it all at once, as opposed to, occupy his time on this.
Right, like here are the subpoenas we need for this task force, and here's the whole list. We want to talk with them, not even in the public realm, but we need information, because we've been given information by people that have testified that they have information for us. So I suspect you're going to do that. You also mentioned to me that you and Rep. Burchett might do something on the floor about subpoenas, hostile, non-hostile. Did I get that right? It was a previous conversation we had. Are you about to do something?
That is a possibility that Tim and I and Anna can, in our committee, drop a motion to actually subpoena these, and it would be one motion. If that gives you an idea why we're building up to this, it would be one motion, and then just like what happened with the Epstein.
This is the thing with Congress. You need other people on board with them to make this happen. It can't be just 3 people. They have to worry about contempt of Congress as well. And you'd have to have other members, more people on board with that, because there are people that vote nay, yay, or nay, and stuff like that. So that's to be a common consensus with that.
List that was done by Tim. Correct me if I'm wrong. You were the one that offered that motion to subpoena the Epstein files and to subpoena the that information. And that was done in one motion by Tim in our oversight, one of the subcommittees, if I remember right.
Yep.
So that's something that we can do. I want to make sure that we don't. I'm going to talk to the chairman before we do that, and make it clear. I mean, we're going to do it. We would prefer to not have to do it behind the chairman's back, if that makes sense.
One last question. Drones. Drones bedeviling the public all over the East Coast, over sensitive military installations, 17 nights in a row over Langley. They shut down Wright-Patterson. And then we were told, even though the FBI is investigating it, another...
disclaimer, Google has crappy translation. And so anybody that's heard problems like me, I think that was a real word. It isn't. I apologize for that. It's stupid Google that cannot get their shite together. So about right words and acronyms they're using. So
other agencies, oh yeah, that's approved. No worries about that. Where are we on drones? Is that all explained? Did that mystery go away? Tim?
I'm going to jump in. I don't think so. Again, these deadgum UFOs, they keep saying they're ours, and then so why are they risking multi-billion-dollar aircraft and personnel? I just don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. I think
that's good.
I think if if they come out and say what they know and what I think they know, I think they'll show that we let our guard down, and that these things could easily shut us down. So they have to say that. Whatever the drones are, I suspect they're more domestic than they are intergalactic. But
It is more domestic. They're testing us. There's a huge scam. A lot of it was our secret technology and stuff being used to see if they could down our stuff. There were some real UFOs. There were. Like I said it's all three. Some is real, some isn't. Some is ours. Some of it is re-engineered. Some of it is extraterrestrial and stuff. But yeah, the large amount happens to be government or other government. So it's a huge global scam with this drone thing.
because they stay in the air longer than anything that we have commercially available.
Right.
And I think if we said, oh, hey, we got these things could shut us down, then I think our enemies would realize some more of our enemies could realize what they could do to us. That makes sense.
Representative Burleson, same question.
Well, it's like they said, though, if they were a threat, which obviously they're not so much, if they were a real threat, then they would have shut us down before we had any technology. Before we had electricity, before we had computers, they could have put us back to zero, and they haven't. So I want to hear this BS about how all of them are a threat to us. Now, the ones that are doing abductions, doing rapes and stuff like that, those are a threat. Those need to be taken out. But I do know that we're working with some of those extraterrestrials. So, like there's some that need to be taken out. There are good ones out there. So.
Yeah, I think that we have got to, as a nation, I mean, we've been caught with our pants down, whether it was the Chinese spy balloon or the drones in New Jersey. It's embarrassing that this country, we can't really defend ourselves. There were rumors in Capitol Hill that leading up to the inauguration that there might be a drone attack. These were just rumors.
We have technology that can down these craft. We do. We have stuff.
And if you think about it, if you have an attack that's somewhat similar to what happened when Ukraine launched hundreds of drones on the Russian military bases, if you can imagine a semi-truck launching, hundreds of drones at an inaugural platform that's where you have all members of Congress, the incoming president, the vice president, and nearly and the richest people on the planet all on one stage. And you got to take down hundreds of drones. I think that we have got to figure this problem out. This is a real problem, whether it's that kind of threat or at an airport. I mean, God forbid somebody flies a drone into an engine of a plane. We have got to figure out how to take these things down.
I really want to say,
I said, we do have stuff to take these things down. But those things are to be classified, and it's not just weapons, they're people. That these people, kind of like me, where we communicate with them, and they get them to bring them down, etc. There are different ways, but this is the thing that I don't like, is that it's different. It's like case by case basis. Just like there are bad people, there are bad ETs and good ETs out there. And they could have wiped us off on the face of the earth if they wanted to. If they're that big of a threat. And they should remember this. They should bring this up. And we do have stuff to bring along these things down. Thing is that they're having to use these NHI UFOs now are using backups. They have another one working in tandem with them to shut off our electronics and stuff. They have to then counter what we have. They have to put out their next generation type of warfare thing to counter our tech, etc., and everything. Um, so it goes both ways.
Really appreciate the way you guys are fighting for this and coordinating. I know you get your hands dirty from the first hearing with Rep Burchett. If you remember Rep Burchett, we were pushing a boulder uphill, but I feel like we have to look back and say we've made a lot of progress since then. You've got all these great people you're working with now. You're all fighting for it. I've seen you in the trenches, Rep Burleson. I've seen you out there doing investigations too, and I really appreciate all of that. I can tell you, intel agencies are scared of you. They are scared of Congress. And I'll explain that to you. The direct interactions I've had, you guys have power. You have power to dig in and uncover some of this mystery about the UFOs. And I know intel agencies that want to keep this tight are worried. They're going to try to cut the legs out of what you...
Well, what they gotta say real quick also is that a lot of these UFOs that come down out of the sky, and they go to these bases. They're trying to show you, I actually like that law place. I believe their stupid military needs to be put in its place. I believe they do that with Russia, they do that with China. It's not just us. They do this around the world. They say, it's like them putting in our faces saying, hey, if we want to, we can shut you guys down. You guys need to change. You guys need to change your ways. And I believe that's a warning. And a lot of our people say it's like a warning. And people should learn with that. And because we do have a bunch of orangutans and monkeys, whatever, running, these militaries creating wars and stuff. And like I said, we should have never had nuclear weapons. It would have cost us at least 1 million people to go into Japan. But I think nuclear weapons should have never been invented.
Can do. So you have a real opportunity right now, and I really appreciate you guys fighting for it. And I like that the team is building and growing. I think we're going to make progress if you guys keep fighting. I really just appreciate you.
Thank you both so much
you
for your
guys.
time. Thanks for the time. We appreciate it. So, obviously, what we've heard from those three members of Congress, they are frustrated in not being able to get the information that they want. I mean, their constitutional duty is oversight. It's right there in the original founding documents that they're supposed to oversee the executive branch, the military, CIA, and it's clear that they're not getting cooperation from those and other
It's all
agencies,
about-
and they want subpoena
Constitution.
power to try to help get past that. Number two,
The only
we asked.
it's us, the people, that are supposed to be overseeing this stuff. We're the only reason why we have elected officials, so they can do the bidding of the people, so they can do what we want them to do. Not the other way around. Yeah, we got thugs in government, military, intelligence, that is doing all these criminal activities, and breaking all these laws, doing the opposite of how our country was created and how it's supposed to work and everything.
Them about a U.S. Air Force program, which was the one big thing that I thought was especially newsworthy in the Age of Disclosure film, where James Clapper, this longtime intelligence honcho, admits that the U.S. Air Force has been studying UFOs and collecting information, which, of course, we all suspected was going on. So it's not a surprise in that sense, but it is a surprise that he would admit it in public, on the record, and I think that they're probably going to want to dig into that. The third thing that comes out of this for me is they've actually kicked around the idea of not having more hearings because they're so frustrated, and until they get the powers they need to actually force people to come forward and testify, whether they're friendly or unfriendly witnesses, I think maybe they might be giving it a pause for a while. I hope not. In my sense, even though they're not getting all that they want, the fact that they hold the hearings at all is so supremely important. It tells the public in an non-direct way that this is an important issue, and it galvanizes public interest, and I would think it generates new witnesses. The one thing that we don't hear from them is whether or not they feel there's a need to evaluate disclosure, if that's what it's going to be, to figure out whether it's really a good idea. Hal Puthoff, our mutual friend, Dr. Hal Puthoff, I've known him for almost 30 years. He's revealed in public a number of times in the past couple of years that he was part of an extraordinary experiment and a gathering back in the regime in the first administration of George H.W. Bush, Father Bush. They gathered all these big brainiacs together in D.C., gave them all this information, and asked them to figure out whether disclosure is a good idea. And although Hal Puthoff isn't generally in favor of the public knowing more, by the end, and as were some of the other people who were in that room, by the end, they looked at the checklist and figured disclosure is not such a good idea. I think maybe Congress should consider something like that before they take a step that is irreversible and figure out whether disclosure is a good idea and how far you might go in revealing information to the public.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And
Was the George Bush Sr. was in charge of intelligence, CIA, and stuff like that. So I know that Senior told Junior about some UFO stuff, only what you need to know, and stuff like that. I heard about encounters with some of our fighter jets and UFOs in Iraq, where we had gone in there to attack a target. The UFOs came down, and our fighters had to leave because the UFOs were blocking us from going into a target zone area that we were supposed to bomb and stuff like that. And so, he Senior knew a lot about UFOs because he was in charge of intelligence stuff for a good while. So,
you know, I, I, I'm, I don't think they're going to stop doing hearings. I think what they need to be doing is focusing on video evidence. They had admitted video evidence, and in private calls with them, they've admitted the video evidence is the key. They are being denied that video evidence. Well, I think we can help them out, George, on that. That was the intent a long time ago with you and me testifying at all, was showing them some of what it is that has crossed our paths along the way. Right now, we've got Arrow, and I know Rep. Burleson was kind of defending Arrow, like I think they're just doing their job. You know, they're trying to eliminate things, and that is true. I'm sure there's a lot of great people working at Arrow, but from a public standpoint, I know for a fact that they are giving us low information videos up there.
But like Luna said, they're just putting out also a bunch of BS at the same time, saying that they don't know stuff and that they do. Now, to be honest, each intelligence department, there's a lot of different departments. They're very tribal, and they all want to keep stuff for themselves also. So that is a problem. And knowing how much one person does know, and only the upper chain of command is going to know about all these different things because they have the code, they have the passwords, they have the codes for it, they have, I should say, the clearance for it. So there is these departments, there are higher ups where they have access to different. Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, I'm wrong on it. They do. Different departments do have special access to other intelligence organizations by clearance and stuff like that. So.
And then afterwards, just saying the performance characteristics and behaviors are unremarkable and do not warrant further analysis. Come on. We've seen the best UFO videos come out from the military through journalism. The fact that they're putting up these really stupid videos. I'm sorry, I got no love for that. Representative Luna said to me on a call the other day, she's like, I want to defund Arrow. She feels they're being disingenuous with Congress. So look, they have to take the power back. And I think there's a few ways to do that. They mentioned getting subpoenas, putting them in a big list, taking them to their boss and saying, these are the people who want a subpoena. So I feel like they want more hearings. They just want to be able to get the right content in those hearings, and that's what they're fighting for.
Yeah, it was interesting to hear that they have developed a long list of names of people they want to pull in and question, and a long list of files, specific files they've been told about that they can't get access to. What was really interesting is Representative Burleson, we asked him about the video that he uncorked at that congressional hearing back in September, an amazing piece of footage that we had seen before. And I was wondering, look, did the military come over and try to tell you what that represented, what the real deal is? He can't talk about it. And it sort of goes to something that Representative Burchett said, is he no longer goes to classified briefings because you go in there, you hear something, you can never talk about it. And that applies to things he knew before he went into the briefing. So he's not going there anymore because to him, it seems like a trap.
It is.
Well, he can't talk about it, but I can tell.
I can talk about it. I can. And you can, and other people can. So it's like, the thing is, they should say it anyway. It's all bullshit. It's all a lie. It's all a lie.
Tell you that he was not told that this was just some ordinary thing. See, that's the problem. As you're saying, we're going to classified briefings. This is not a resolved case, and at all. And so I think that it sucks that he had to hear that in a classified setting and can't reaffirm that to us. But I can tell you that I can guarantee you that that is not a video of something that is known, and that's why it's still identified as UAP. But anyway, something that happened at the hearing, there's this cool little clip where you're walking, right after you testified, and Rep. Burleson reached over to you and says, look, we've got people we want to subpoena. I could use your help with creating that list. And I have definitely helped, kind of give names to that. And our show has helped give names to that. But if you have more names, George, you were asked at the hearing by Rep. Burleson on camera. I caught a little clip of it on camera. And you should help him and give him some of those names, because he is putting Santa's little list together of subpoenas, both hostile and non-hostile. And how powerful would that be? Because if he doesn't want to do it behind his boss's back, wants to go take it to his boss and drop it all at once. But he also did mention that on the floor, they can do it with one swoop once they have all the names together.
What did you think of George Knapp here naming some names today?
I've got some names
What?
I want to go over with you.
When I go.
I've got some names I want to go over with you. People that we're looking at potentially subpoena.
Or I will help add some to that list.
So are you serious about subpoenaing names? Like Luna said that
That's what I was
Kirkpatrick.
requesting.
Yeah.
That's what I look at. Again, I think we've had enough talk. It's time to bring the people in. It's time to shake things up. And otherwise, nothing's going to break loose. It's just going to continue to be the status quo.
So I highly encourage that you also, George, help give him some names.
I got a few. I'm down here in the real low bunker, and it's been infested with cats. I don't know if you can hear that in the background.
That's right.
He wants a little airtime. Well, I think it was great that we were able to get all three of them on at the same time. I think it's great that they know that they're welcome on this platform anytime they want to share a message with the public. And it seems to me that they are all still strongly committed to getting to the bottom of this, and that's great for the public.
Yeah, and one last thing about something, hopefully they can be armed with. You will recall, we've talked about it before. You and I did come into a hearing at one point when before you testified, and you were able to show Rep. Burchett a 100-plus page technical report on the Tic Tac UFO stuff, and that was unable to be put into congressional record because of the agreements that have been made when journalists obtain certain things. And that's an honor. It's an oath that you take. And I understand that. But why that's important to me, and I'm bringing it up now, is because every time I talk to these spooks, they tell me, well, we don't look into the Tic Tac stuff because we don't have enough data. They love not dealing with the Tic Tac because of not enough data all the spooks come at it that way. Now, here's the deal. There is data. There is information, and people asking me should be in position
Maybe
to
the
obtain that
intelligence are
information. So I just want to call bullshit on that. There's a ton of data, on the TikTok UFO cases, and I really hope that can get into the right hands so it can go public.
Well, I feel the same way. I don't see anything in the documents you're referring to. Not that I have them, but I don't. I'm unaware of anything. I'm not aware of anything in those documents that should not be made public. There's nothing that's going to endanger U.S. national security from making that information public. So far, I guess DIA has said they can't find it. I can help them. I think I can help them with some people that worked on that program.
And I think they should be exposed to similar videos and things that you and I have been exposed to, because what's being put out by Arrow is total bullshit.
Yeah, one thing we did not get into in any detail in this conversation, but maybe we'll do so privately, is that there's something coming for them. There is something coming aimed at Congress that is going to attempt to get them to back off. And because Congress is a threat, as you mentioned, Congress is a real threat to the keepers of the secrets. You know, the mainstream media, the major players have been intimidated and have backed off. New York Times started this ball rolling with a really great story by Ralph Blumenthal and Leslie Kean, but they're not publishing any more UFO stories. The Washington Post has been purchased by a billionaire. Its editorial policy has changed quite dramatically. They're not going to dump out some UFO stories. The major networks, news networks, have been intimidated. They've had to pay millions of dollars to the president for perceived slights. They're intimidated to a great degree. So, the media landscape has changed. That means the members of Congress are the only ones really with the power to get to the bottom of this. And so I think they're being targeted by something that's going to drop real soon. And I hope they can withstand the pressure from that.
Right. So intelligence.
The problem is that I think the biggest problem is that people are stupid enough to believe in their government. They're stupid enough to believe in their intelligence. They're stupid enough to believe what they're told by so-called authority that have no right to have that authority, to have that power. And people like me, people like them, know a lot more than most others and even other media outlets do. We've been around this some of us have been around this our whole entire lives. This is nothing new. And we know that the government is always full of BS. We know that intelligence is full of crooked people, that there's a lot of criminal element to crime, etc. And not to ever trust them. You have to earn that. And thing is, you have to do your own investigations. Don't trust it, do not ever trust the government. Don't. And people are too stupid to believe it. And I hate it when I see it in these chats that I've seen where they believe in their, politicians, and they take as God's truth. And it's like, you guys are so stupid to believe that they're actually going to do this stuff. Because it never gets done. It doesn't. And when it doesn't get done, they point to the other side and they say, hey, it's their fault, they did, there was their vote for me, and we'll get it done. And what happens when they take that side and get all the power? It doesn't get done. It doesn't. And, you're talking about UFOs and stuff like that, is that, hold on a second, what is that? Yeah, they are. Yeah, the government is definitely doing a lot more psyops. The government has a lot more technology, reverse technology. A lot more. So, they could, look what drones could do, making like these pictures in the sky and stuff like that and everything. There's definitely ways that the government, and they'll do it to discredit people, UFOs and stuff like that. And they'll say, "Hey, you're all crazy," and you know, um, it was drones and stuff like that. And say there's no such thing as UFOs and stuff. It was drones and this and that. You guys are mentally ill, etc. And so the thing is that UFOs, and you have drawings of UFOs, ETs, and caves from over 8,000 years ago and stuff. And you have different tribal nations that, have spoken about this for down generation to generation. And they're like, this whole drone thing was a huge psyop. And they did it to control, to make new laws limiting how we can use drones. Yeah, they are. That's their job. If you look how the CIA was formed, also is to make diversions and to smoke and mirrors and everything. Um, and that's definitely what they're doing now. They're to try. This is also what they say with wars and making wars to feed the industrial complex, the military industrial complex. And if there's something that is making uh, news, like it's making a person look bad, they want to make a diversion and keep the attention away from UFOs to make something else happen. You know, it's a smoke and mirrors type of thing. Me, this is the thing. I've been looking at all the stuff that um, hold on, I get dry mouth a lot. Sorry about that. I drink like a drunk. Um, if you look at how Ukraine is, what we're doing with not the U.S. but Ukraine and Russia, and how I don't know if you know about all the strikes that Zelensky has done inside of Russia. He's taken out oil refineries. He's taken out electrical grids right by Moscow, parts of Moscow, and stuff like that. And how before, if that would have happened, I believe there would have been a nuclear war. If we were World War III, and my father had access to nuclear arms during the Cuban Missile Crisis, my father, uh, Nelson Rushley Jr., he was in the Air Force, JFK, and that was the closest we got to nuclear war. And I believe that if we were really in the midst of World War III, I know that other things would have to happen. I know that Putin would have to be a bit more crazier um, than what he is right now, and things could be a lot worse. And Putin is actually taking a lot. He's taking a lot of damage from Zelensky and what happened in Ukraine um, and stuff. But um, World War World War III. I mean, there's stuff that I mean, we have proxy. We have proxy wars that the Russians, the U.S. has, whether it's South America, Africa. We have, again, this goes to mineral stuff, goes to gold, goes to crystals. For Russia wants a piece of the pie, we want a piece of the pie. And we have proxies, and we have special operations in Africa and in, South America as well. But yeah, I mean, I call it out. I remember I was watching JLR Investigates, and he was talking about how some people actually believe that has to do with getting rid of drugs. And I said, bullshit. I said, oil companies want their money back for what we lost in Venezuela. We want our money back. The oil companies, American oil companies, want their money back because when they were kicked out, when the other dictator, I forgot his name, when he came into power, he wanted the U.S. out because the U.S. was causing trouble, taking all their resources, oil. And Trump was saying like, we want the cartels done. It's like, well, if you want to get rid of the cartels and drugs, why aren't you going after Mexico? Why are you going after Venezuela when Mexico is right by us? They're the big problem, and it goes back to minerals and oil. And he wants Trump wants that oil, and I hate both sides and stuff like that. But I mean Venezuela, I just call that's total BS. It's total BS. It's like you blow up some drug boats, cool, but the threat with drugs and cartels that's just south of us, you know. And why aren't you going after Mexico? Why? There's no there's no oil in Mexico, but there's oil in Venezuela. And you have these oil companies, American oil companies, that are pissed off. They wanted George Bush, I believe, or Obama, to go in and retake those oil fields that we lost there. That's a big problem. I mean, yeah, China, yeah, Venezuela, of course, because the dictators have to stick together. Dictators always have to stick together. Even if they hate each other. Believe me, they don't trust each other. You know. You think so? I think it's both. I think it's both. I mean, uh, Russia wants their piece of the pie. China wants their piece of the pie. Everybody wants a piece of the pie. You know, and it's like, you know, yeah, Saudi signed up and everything, but you're talking about how if you look back, how the U.S. oil companies were so pissed off about losing billions and billions of dollars in oil lost and stuff, and how much they could be selling to the U.S. is that, again, you don't have to believe anything that I tell you. I ask for you to look into it, about Exxon, Mobil, and stuff like that, Shell, whatever, these companies. But there's a lot that we lost when they kicked the U.S. oil companies out of there and stuff like that. Well, this is the thing. Did you know that China owns farmland around some of our bases, the secret bases? They own land around our bases. The Chinese do. They don't need Venezuela. I mean, Chinese, they have a lot of immigrants from China that come to the U.S. Right. So I mean, the Chinese, I mean, especially with all this immigration problems that we've had and stuff like that have come around, they could do a lot of spying that are in this country right now. They could do a lot of stuff, with that. Um, but so I mean, you talk about Russia and China and North Korea. Everybody wants a piece of the pie, and it's like, they see America as just a bully. Of course, we're gonna see them as bullies, stuff like that, and everything. So you know, um, but let me get back to I need to get back to this UFO thing as well. This is about done.
Agencies are afraid of the power that Congress has for oversight. And you and I have seen directly that there is a crosshairs on Congress to try to influence, manipulate, and cut the legs out of their UAP inquiry. And I think as long as they're forewarned, they didn't seem too worried about it, and actually seemed pretty hip to it. They seem to understand that they were a target. This is a conversation we had offline, not on this show. But yeah, we give them a heads up that we see the writing on the wall, what's going to come at them, and we'll see where that goes. But I think it's not going to be effective. And these individuals, love or hate their politics. I don't even know a lot about politics, but as human beings, they are fighting to try to get this information. They're curious, like you and me. So they're fighting to try to get this information. I'm really appreciative all three came on. That was Rep Luna's idea, is to get us all together, which I thought was really cool. So I hope people enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, George. Thanks for doing Weaponized with me. And
All right, so
maybe we should do a year-end review after this episode. What do you think?
that's it for that part. I was gonna go to Body Blue, which is the adult star and everything. And me, I've been around the adult industry before. I just want a totally different note and stuff like that. So there'd be people that are not gonna like this. I do. This is something I do because I've been around this stuff before. So let's see. Where is Body Blue? Is that? Let's see. I got so many friggin' tabs. Here. I thought I had it right here.
About geology.
Let's see here. It's around right. Body Blue. Got arrested in Valley. Let's see here. Arrested. Let's. Boy. Adult film star. Let's see here. Where was let's get it from. News Australia. Let's see. Little story around UAPs. If those military installations causing shutdowns for hours. It's not convincing. It's not convincing being military. We not let unknown objects. Yeah, that's exactly the thing. If it was military, we would allow that. It would take some higher force intelligence to shut down. And believe me, I'm around military installations where I live and stuff. I'm around Plat 42. There's Edwards. There's China Lake. Then you go east from Edwards. You go to Area 51. And we have stuff underground at Edwards, stuff like that and everything. And it's like, if it's just human, that was causing these shutdowns, then obviously our aircraft would intercept it, F-16s, 18s, whatever, are going to intercept it and say, we're going to shoot you down. Because I know, because I've seen pilots go around the airspace of Edwards, etc., and they said, if you don't get out of our airspace, we will shoot you down. That's what they said. Over comms. So that's definitely something to remember. Which was Sky News. Sky News. Oops, wrong area. Let's see. Sky News. Oh, jeez. 15? Are you fucking kidding me? Holy fucking shit. Body. Oh my fucking god. Hold on. Oh my lord. No, don't add it. It don't add up whatsoever. Yeah, if you have a kite or something like that, they have that. They put up, like I said, F-16s, F-18s, stuff like that. All these other different fighter aircraft. It is a kite. They want to know if it's small on the radar. If it's smaller, they really want to know if it's Chinese or Russian. They're gonna go up there. This stuff. So I mean, that there's some BS going on, where they say, "Oh, it's not UFOs," and something else. Like, yeah, it has to be. It has to be UFO. Whether it's reverse engineered, whether it's from a different country, or whether it's extraterrestrial, that's a different question. But it's not. Obviously, it's not just normal military one. There's a huge difference. And they know that, especially when they have to have it shut down, because they're not going to shut down anything for anybody. They don't. They're going to say, get the hell out of our airspace, or we're going to shoot your ass down. It's very simple. They're not going to let. If they're going to let me in a freaking Cessna or private plane interrupt our operations, hell no. After 9/11 especially. After 9/11, they changed everything. It's like, shoot them down. You're a threat. You're in our airspace. Shoot them down. That's the way it is now. I mean, jeez. I mean, if it's around Area 51, I remember way back in before 2001 that they would threaten to shoot you down if you were in that airspace. This is before 9/11. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, so, I mean, I know, whatever reason why they shut down base, of course, is that when we've had, some of our classified aircraft, I remember F-117s that crashed, before they were known to the public. When some of those would crash, they'd seal off all the places where they'd seal off base or whatever, for having some technology, that crashed and stuff like that. So, um, there are different things that could happen. Let's see, oh my god. Oh my lord. Let's see, I hate to. Oh my god.
Joining me now is broadcaster Dee Dee Dunleavy. Dee Dee, let's talk about Melania Trump. They're finding new and increasingly desperate ways to attack the First Lady. She's even been criticised now online for reading to a group. Now, let's talk about OnlyFans model Bonnie Blue. In fact, I don't think she's on OnlyFans anymore. I think she got kicked off that platform, but she's
Why was she
facing...
kicked off? I could look her up and see if she's on there right now. But that gave you kicked off YouTube, but
Up to 15 years in an Indonesian prison after her arrest in Bali, but it's believed she may be deported instead. Police are yet to release additional information following the arrest last.
I told some of these ladies about, oh my God, because I've been around some of this stuff before, and my account's mostly closed, but I've done some of this adult stuff, but let's see, hold on. Wow, really? Stalked that compound. It was park ranger. Yeah, supposedly a park ranger. Yes, they like to do cosplay. They like to do cosplay sometimes. Yeah, I've heard of stuff like that. Yeah, because they don't want people to know where they're really from. They're actually from CIA or FBI are part of a different department and stuff. Like for Lockheed and stuff like that, I've seen guys dressed in black. But you want to go back there? Do you think? Did you get any sort of vibes, like bad vibes for that place, or do you think that is a bad place to be at? This where you saw that, where this happened at? Did you ever get like I say like psychic, something like this? I say I should be or I should or something. You still remember where it is? So it's important. So something told your subconscious that is important or something, or was that because you were questioning about it? Ooh, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. Yeah. They don't like it. Yeah. Out in the middle of the desert. Yeah. And if you're questioning about it, that means there's something going on around there that they don't want you around, or something. Especially if it's a so-called park ranger. It's very sus. By your commander? Yeah, you better, yeah. Yeah. You better, you don't want to be put in a brig. Yeah. If you're in the military, you don't want to get court-martial and stuff like that and be kicked out. Yeah. Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you want to have good, clean record in the military, stuff like that, because if it gets dishonorable discharge, people like that, they don't want you to have a job or anything like that. Stays on you forever. Just like a jail record, whatever, So it's like, just do your job, then afterwards, do what you want. How many years ago was that, may I ask? Two 2009. This is about 50 plus years ago. Everything. And he said this place is like a compound and everything like that. And he says like in the middle of the desert it's just like like a box shape or something. It's a box shape modular or something like that. Yeah, some of these deep underground bases where some people find, I don't know, I'm getting like goosebumps. I'm feeling things. I'm actually feeling some of this stuff. Uh, but it's like, so I can sense these things. Um, sorry, something's taking my mind to another place. Um, but some people, these deep underground bases, they find these ventilation chambers right in the middle of nowhere. So across the night. This is a compound. He said, was it just like one box unit right there out in the middle of nowhere? Or did it have a couple other modules there? Oh, yeah. But if it's during the day, it'd be out. You'd be able to see it, but it's out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, yeah, it's crazy how I've heard where we have, right. It's crazy how some stuff that people see for different bases are out in the middle of nowhere, and it's like you find that this stuff is connected underground, or else, yeah, and they have lines going miles, 15, 20 miles. It seems they're connected to other bases and stuff. Right. Yeah, and it's like how, like I said, also how some of these ventilation areas for underground bases, sometimes they're found out in the middle of nowhere. Sometimes people can find these pictures online too. That's crazy. Yeah. Oh, a bunch of you guys were drunk at the time? Just have a good time? Off duty? That's that's one way to find things. It's when you're drunk, you have no idea where you're going. You just get out, middle of nowhere. One thing is, so I mean, sometimes federal government, will disguise themselves as that, etc. I mean, and if it was in a desert, I mean, there are different ranges for different desert areas, but I don't know exactly what place you're at, but, oh yeah? It is crazy what being drunk and sometimes people, what happens, crazy stuff happens when, you're drunk sometimes or whatever. You see things out there in the desert and stuff like that or whatever, you know, because if you're in a normal state, be on certain roads where if you're in a desert, you don't, yeah. Size of dirt as big as car is perfectly strong. But you're not talking about size. You're talking about diagrams in the dirt, or what kind of signs, if I may ask. Houses with mannequins, cloths. Oh, okay. On GPS. Yeah, yes, leaking clothes. Okay. Uh huh. And this is around the place that was. They're talking about in the middle of nowhere. Houses, mannequins. Houses, mannequins. That all sounds like former nuclear test area. This all sounds like a nuclear test area. It sounds very much like a nuclear test area. I remember they used to have, these stores, and they had mannequins there, dummies to see after a nuclear. But why would they have them back 2006, 2009? That doesn't make sense though. I remember when we used to do nuclear testing, they'd have stores that have mannequins, see how they'd be able to take a nuclear blast. But this is way after. Clothes would change. This is weird stuff. The clothes would change. This is in the area that you're at this one night and clothes would change? Or is this going back and forth different times? Or is this going back and forth different place or the same area at different times? All this between 2006 2009, same vicinity. Place out in the middle of nowhere. But there's no population when you're at this place. There's no people. It's just there. This place is just there. No people, or was there people? Was this town? Because from when I first see your story, this is just one little small place. Or close to one another encounter. Okay, all right. absolutely miles from no population. No population. Wow, that is freaking weird. That's like out of the Twilight Zone. Absolutely miles from no population. That's freaky. That is freaky. That's like Twilight Zone. No man's land. That is freaky. That is freaky shit. That's freaky shit. That makes no sense, but that I've heard strange stories and stuff, different like time stuff and everything, but like different world type of things. Yeah, that is weird. You said you want to go back there and stuff like that. What kind of vibes did you get from this place, though? I mean, I'm interested in what vibes you got from this place, though. And what about whoever else was with you that been around this area? How they feel about this area is what I'd like to. Oh yeah, it is freaky. That's for damn sure. It doesn't make a lot of sense just to have mannequins and clothes change and this one thing out in the middle of nowhere. That's pretty damn freaky. You know, it's like I'd be like, what the fuck is that doing there? And I also my curiosity get the best of me too. You know, I want to know like what the f's going on here, and then I get the vibe saying maybe I shouldn't want to know. Maybe hey, curiosity killed the cat. Oh, you do? Nice, nice. I'd say if you got your own site or something, maybe put on social media or something, you know, and put out your story. You know, it doesn't matter what others believe so much. It just matters that you know that what you've gone through is real. It doesn't matter what me or others think. You know what I'm saying? So just put your story. I mean, people need to put their stories out there. You know, um, everybody has their story that to tell and everything. But let's see what's up with. Oh my God, Bonnie. I've warned some of these girls. Watch what they're doing about laws. Let's see. Oh my God. And this is from conservative channel. So
This week of the woman known as Bonnie Blue and 17 male tourists on suspicion of breaching Indonesia's anti-pornography laws. If
let's see. Hold on. So now she hadn't heard of about your discovery everywhere else. And you said other people were with you, right? A couple of guys with you drunk. Keep my eye put Bonnie Blue on hold. Don't worry, Bonnie. You'll still have your only bed pants. Bonnie Blue, I don't know how she handled Bobby Blue, let me tell you. I mean, I've been around the adult business a little bit, and I mean, listen, I know some adult stars, all right? So, I mean, and some of them would say they would never even attempt it. Oh yeah, some buddies, yeah. Might want to get in touch with them, see what they think about it. Go to this Twilight Zone thing. But I was wondering if Bonnie Blue was the same lady that did 1,000 Guys. I was wondering. I thought it probably was, but man, I mean, listen, okay, so some of the adult stars I know of, they would never dream of this because you can't take a guy's cock in that long without it damaging her insides, alright? You usually can't. That much, you're going to have injuries and stuff. Yeah. They may move your course. And they can't show the real stuff with Hollywood. They can't. But anyways, 1,000 Guys, she's lucky I mean, let me tell you, back in the 80s, you know, you're talking about Debbie Does Dallas and all this other stuff. I saw some crazy stuff, alright? And it's like with Bonnie Blue, I was going like, what the fuck? 1,000 Guys? And it's like, why are you doing this? And everyone's gonna have their opinion, you know. And for me, it's like, what you do is your own business. It's not mine. It's nobody else's. And that's the way that I always think. I don't like government telling us what to do. I don't like religious people telling us what to do. It's like, do what you want as long as you're not doing something illegal, hurting innocent people, right? And so I know that some adult stars that I've known of, it was like, there's something wrong with this girl. There's something wrong with this girl. And at the same time, there's some performers that are to say, hey, you want to do it. It's your own body. But be careful. And I'm telling you, I've seen some women damaged by some guys, an adult, just with one guy. They couldn't take it being so rough. So how her vagina is able to handle all that meat, all that roughage, without dying, I don't know. But let's see here. What else is about Bali is the instinct they let all the natives go. And only did foreigners. Really? Are you serious? They did? Oh my god. This smells of a setup. This stinks of a setup. Oh my god. Of course the natives. Of course the natives won't let you go. Oh my god. If the source if the source is correct. Oh my god. Yeah. I cannot believe it. But I can see that happening though. But oh my god, this girl 1,000 Guys out can damage a woman's insides. I mean, I am a bit worried about her. What she may have been through before. I don't know. It's her business. If she wants to, that's her business. All right. It's not my business. and I don't think it should be anybody else's. Do behind closed doors, stuff like that. And like I said, one lady said, "This guy is married, he has a ring on his finger." I said, "Well, some people have open marriages. Some people have open marriages, have open relationships, and stuff." So it's like, like I said, some of the adult performers that I know of, they would never, ever think of trying 1,000 guys. That could damage your insides. That's crazy. But it's like, hey, you want to do it? Then hey, more power to you, babe. But it's like, I know someone that have had multiple guys. In this case, it's multiple guys. But she was in a foreign country doing something that has religious laws. They're religious and they'll allow this thing. And I told, I'm here in California. Sometimes I go, Arizona around there, been around New Mexico, stuff like that a bit. But I'm right now here. I'm in Southern California. Right now I'm right by Plat 42, that area, stuff like that. And a lot of times I record UFOs, stuff like that, and everything. So I need to do more of that to see better equipment. Yeah, dude. I try to tell some of these young girls, do not do certain things in public. And the thing is, they get paid doing public sex sometimes. It's like, if you're going to do that, you better be prepared to be put in jail. It's like, you should know better. And with her being in Bali, I bet she didn't know. I bet that she didn't. I don't think that she'd be stupid enough. I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't think she'd be stupid enough to do it outright. But this is something that adult performers have to think about. Don't go to a place where they have laws like this, or else, oh my God, kid. And some of these performers, you're going to have to be my kids. Oh my God. Which is a complex, it is a complex, but. Well, there's some military happened. So there's some military all passed. Yeah. That's wow. I mean, there's stuff like New Mexico where some of these UFOs crashed, right? And the thing is, they need some of the stuff that's in these rocks, some of the energy that are in these rocks. Is it uranium? I probably got it wrong or whatever. Some stuff that's deposits. And it's one reason why Trump is trying to get these mineral rights going to different countries like Greenland, or it's like Venezuela, Ukraine, other countries, China. He signed a thing with China for minerals, which really surprised me. And there's stuff that can power, these reverse engineered vehicles and stuff. And I can say that some of this stuff seems to have also downed some of them as well, may have, or something. It's just really weird. And, there's a lot of cryptids there. Arizona, you got New Mexico, and, you got some parts for California. I had so many different places. you know, and we have secret stuff going on to Tehachapi Mountains, um, national parks. And if you look at the Grand Canyon, we have secret bases around there. Right? That's facts. You know, when politicians allowed all these illegals to come through, a lot of them were Chinese, some were North Korean, Russian, yeah, Ukrainian, and a lot of people have said that it's racist how Trump is going after illegals. Well, let me tell you, a lot of these people were from North Korea, China, etc., and Russia. And it's not about racism. You know, it's just most of them were Latin, right? That are crossed. But there have been Chinese, there have been Koreans that have been arrested and stuff like that. And they have farms, they've been taking our farms, the Chinese have. Canada has. And they're right by military bases or secret bases, or not so secret bases.
I told some of these ladies about, oh my god, because I've been around some of this stuff before, and my account's mostly closed, but Canada has.
Do you know about the stuff from Egypt that has been found around there?
They're right by military
pharaohs
bases or secret bases
and stuff like that. I get
not
like
so secret
geez,
bases.
I get like goosebumps.
Or we do
there,
classified programs.
There have been people that we have like UAVs that the military uses, and we've had Apaches.
Do you know about the stuff
that
from
swarm
Egypt
people
that has
off
been
of
found
these
around
areas
there?
in Grand Canyon
pharaohs and stuff like that? I get like, geez, I get like.
There's stuff that's in there. Native Americans.
There have been people,
tribal people, like to say, not
we have
tribal
like
people.
UAVs that the military
About some
uses.
stuff. They were kicked out of there as well.
and that have swarmed people.
We
off
have
these
stuff
areas
there.
in the Grand Canyon.
And everything.
There's stuff that's in there.
Some
Native
people like
Americans,
bother you.
tribal
They'll
people,
tell
I
me
should say,
some
not
stuff,
native,
some
tribal people.
secret stuff is and everything.
Heard about some of the stuff.
I do.
They were
I'm
kicked
sorry
out
about
there
that.
as well. And
I apologize.
we have stuff there.
It's just I need to get better equipment.
Everything.
I can hear
And,
a chat for myself. I'm sorry
I mean,
about that.
what some
Well,
people
just-
like father you.
Just started.
Would tell me some stuff,
Oh,
where
boy.
some secret stuff is and everything.
I need to get better equipment. I apologize.
I
about
do.
that.
I'm sorry about that.
Forgive me.
I apologize. It's just I need to get better equipment.
I don't
can
have
hear
a lot of
someone
money, so-
chat for myself. I'm
But,
sorry about that.
I do need to get better
Well,
equipment.
just-
I just got a new computer.
just started?
though.
Oh boy.
I'm over half
I need to get
deaf.
better equipment. I apologize.
I'm over half
about
deaf,
that.
so I'm glad you told me, because a lot of times nobody tells me. So, which is really fucked up.
I don't have a lot of money, so
I'm over half deaf.
I do need to
So-
get better equipment. I just got a new
I
computer.
have to have things really loud. You know.
I'm over half deaf. I'm over
I
half deaf.
apologize
So
about
I'm glad you told me,
Something
because
happened.
a lot of times nobody tells me. So, which is really
These
fucked
stupid
up.
things have mind of their own.
I'm over
They
half
don't do
deaf.
what I tell them to do. They have mind of their own.
I have to have things really loud.
It's like, how could we fuck with this guy? However we could do it, let's do it.
I
You
apologize.
know, I just like
Hate that. These stupid things have mind of their own.
More about, but
They don't
yeah,
do what
I'm
I
sorry
tell them to
about
do.
that.
They have mind of their own.
But yeah, the Grand Canyon, and
It's like, how can we
national
fuck with
parks.
this guy?
uh,
However we could do it, let's do
they
it.
have places closed
You know,
off
I
for
just
a
like-
reason. And
I hate that.
there have been people having gone missing at
There's
national
some things
parks.
learn a bit more about that. But yeah, I'm sorry about that. But yeah, the Grand Canyon and national parks.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I think with
they
a lot
have
of channels,
places closed off.
a lot of the big ones is that they don't know if people are bullshitting
There have been
them.
people have
And so they don't know
missing
whether to interact
at
with
national parks.
people like you or I, because they don't know if we're just making up shit or not. They don't. And that's why sometimes you have to be careful, because some people could just go psych. I'm fucking.
The thing
with
is,
you.
I think with
it's like,
a lot of channels,
unless they
a
know
lot of the
person
big ones is that they don't know if people are
is
bullshitting
legit.
them.
So I mean,
And so they don't know whether to interact with people like you or I, because they don't know if we're just making up shit or not. They don't. And that's why sometimes you have to be careful, because some people could just go, psych, I'm fucking with you.
me,
so,
I mean,
I
do a lot of venting. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that people aren't gonna like what I say.
So I mean,
And that's because I'm sick of the secrecy, and I get sick of the criminality of stuff.
me, I mean,
Of
I do a
how
lot of
people get
venting.
hurt.
There's a lot of stuff that
and
people aren't gonna
buy
like what I
these secrets
say,
and different things.
and
So
that's because
when I go off, I'm venting.
that's because
a lot.
I'm sick of
So it's like a therapy type
the
thing.
secrecy.
People have
and,
right to know
I get
about
sick
this
of
stuff.
the criminality of stuff, of how people get hurt
Yeah.
and buy these secrets
Well, I
and
mean,
different
like
things.
with me,
So
I found
when
all
I
types
go
of
off,
paranormal
I'm venting a
experiences.
lot.
I've
Yeah, so it's like a
I've been to
therapy
your
type
side
thing,
about
and people
near
have
death
a right
experiences.
to know about
I've
this
seen
stuff.
angels, demons, UFOs, all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
So when I do these
Well, I mean,
reports,
with
right,
me,
I'm
I
putting
found
in my
all
own
types
personal
of paranormal
experiences as well.
I'm
not just
I've been to your side,
putting out what
your
they're saying. I'm
experiences.
putting out my
I've seen
experiences
angels,
as well.
demons,
And I see, like
UFOs,
most people,
all kinds.
they don't. They
of
put
different
out stuff,
things.
but they don't have their own experiences.
So when I
And,
do these,
I have my own
reports,
personal
right?
experiences.
I'm
you
putting
know,
in my own
and,
personal experiences as
Yeah,
well.
I mean, reality
I'm
is
not just
crazier than
putting out what they're
what
saying.
people
I
think
put out my
and
experiences
stuff
as well.
and everything.
And
You know?
I see, like most
Uh,
people, they don't.
and,
They put out stuff,
For
but they
me,
don't have
the
their own
paranormal
experiences.
is normal.
And I have my own
You know?
personal experiences.
So,
and
I mean, it's like this is, and I have been streaming a while.
reality
stuff,
is
so
crazier
I need
than
to get back into it.
what
It's
people
just,
think and stuff and everything.
I have to bring
You know?
this one computer back to the bedroom, have that on.
And for me, the paranormal is normal. So I mean, it's like this is, and I have been streaming a while
Wow.
and stuff, so I need
Yeah.
to get back into it. It's just, I have to bring this one computer back to the bedroom, have that on.
I've had some out of the body stuff as well. There's a near death out of the body, and how I can sense time move around me and stuff like that.
Wow.
See outside my body, stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah.
But
I've had some out of the body stuff as well. There's a near death out of the body.
but yeah, I've heard of
And
some people were
how
pain meds.
I can sense
when they
time
hurt,
move around me and
or
stuff
when
like
they've,
that. See outside my body,
bandage you or
stuff
whether
like that.
it's
you
from
know,
being shot or whatever, stuff like
but,
that. Different things can trigger out of the body and stuff like that.
But yeah,
So,
I've heard of some people were pain meds when they're
depends.
hurt, or when they've
I had if they have
bandaged
decided
or whether it's from being shot or whatever, stuff like that. Different things can trigger out of the body and stuff like that. So,
DMT, you're talking about dreams and stuff. There's a lot of stuff about dreams that I used to when I was a kid.
if they
Looking
have
into
a
psychology of that. Um, DMT, what's that exactly? Is that have to do with dream state as well? I suppose. DMT sounds familiar.
DMT, you're talking about dreams and stuff. There's a lot of stuff about dreams that I used to when I was a kid. Looking into psychology of that. DMT, what's that exactly? Is that have to do with dream state as well? I suppose. DMT sounds familiar.
Yeah, if you look into dreams and you really analyze it, it has a lot to do with our subconscious and what's going on with the outside world and everything brought to the inside. The laser theory.
Yeah, if you look into dreams and you really analyze it, it has a lot to do with our subconscious and what's going on with the outside world and everything brought to the inside.
DMT laser theory refers to a recent phenomenon, the hypothesis popularized by an individual named Danny Goller, which claims that individuals under influence of psychedelics can consciously observe self geometric code. Oh man, yeah.
DMT laser theory refers to
like
recent
that.
phenomenon.
Yeah, different stuff like
hypothesis
that can trigger you.
popularized by an individual named Danny
Yeah, there's
Goller,
all kinds of different ways.
which claims that
and
sometimes
sometimes
under
drugs
influence
can
of
do that,
psychedelic,
and sometimes
psychedelics can consciously
you can
observe
do that by yourself after a
code.
while
Oh
too.
man, yeah.
It's like you have to be in the right
Yeah.
vibe,
Like power stuff
you have
like
to be
that.
in
Yeah, different stuff
right
like that. can
channel
trigger
of
you.
consciousness and everything
Yeah, there's
with
all
that.
kinds of different ways, and sometimes drugs can do that, and sometimes you can do that by yourself after a while too.
Let's see here.
It's like you have to be in the right vibe. You have to
I
be
want something
in
that's longer than 1 minute.
the right channel of
Let's
consciousness
go there.
and everything with that.
Okay, I gotta make a shout out. Legal reasons here.
Let's see here.
Amsterdam Psychedelic Research Association. Shout out to them.
I want something
I
that's
give
longer
them a
than
like
1 minute.
if I don't like it, cause
Let's go.
let's look.
Let's see. Psychedelic. Okay, I got
Well,
make a
welcome,
shout out to
everyone.
reasons here.
I'm glad everyone's here and that we all fit in the
Psychedelic
room.
Research
Sometimes that's a
Association.
problem.
Shout out to them.
If I don't know you, I'm Emily. I'm on the board of APRA along with Cosimo and Keenan.
Let's look.
And APRA, if you don't know, is the Amsterdam Psychedelic Research Association. And we're a nonprofit, volunteer-run organization basically looking to share psychedelic research in all fields and to build community with people also passionate about psychedelic studies. So I guess if you're interested in hearing more about what we do, feel free to visit our website or our social media, or to just come up to one of us after the talk, and we're happy to tell you more. So for this evening, I'm very excited to introduce our speaker, Zeus Tapado, who is a PhD candidate in neuropsychopharmacology at Maastricht University, doing research on the brain under the influence of DMT, and also while inside VR. And I think this combination of things is just really fascinating. So if you're not familiar with his work, you should definitely check it out, and I'm sure you'll want to after tonight. I first came across Zeus's work at ICPR last summer in Harlem, and I thought it was just a great
I
presentation.
just gotta say this real quick. Body, I hope you get out, okay? But Jesus Christ, girls, I tell you people this, I told you girls this before. Be careful what you do. You can get arrested,
You gotta know the laws of these places, alright? Hope you get out. Just don't do this crap again, baby. Okay? Alright, let's move on. Alright.
And since then, I've just been hoping to arrange to have him speak for APRA, so I'm really exciid we're able to make it happen today. So yeah, so thank you so much again, Zeus, and we'll give the floor to you.
Yes, guys. So I am Zeus Tapato, and I research out of Maastricht University. These are some people that I've researched with. We have Kim Kuipers, the founder of MDMA Research over here. Legend, we have Aline, who does LSD research. We have Emily right here that does creative research. So we all have some special locations. 2 CB researchers, Pablo right there in the center. So yeah, we all have some really cool research lines to look into, and it's a really fun place to be. It is down south.
There's a lot of ladies.
So come by for a visit. Maybe we could hang out and party. And my research is on DMT and the brain, the effects of DMT on the visual cortex while people are tripping inside VR. And what are we going to be, or what are we showing people inside VR? Well, I can't really tell you, actually, but it isn't what like person would actually like expect. It's a little bit different than what you would think. But currently, we're getting some really interesting things. We're finding some really bizarre things, actually. So you have to do a lot of testing and retesting to see if these things are even, accurate, or if they're just artifacts. They could be artifacts, but I think we have something nice. And this nice computer. And also, I'm running a experiment right now. And anyone that has attempted DMT and had a visual trip, if you had a visual trip while on DMT, please take a picture of this QR code.
Yeah.
You've done DMT before, that's good. And you have too, great. And wow, okay, interesting. Or you can
say thanks for telling. Okay, Dan Jones, DMT. All right, let's see. Thanks. Yeah, that's going a bit too slow. Yeah, and everything's all right. Yeah, I was gonna say something else. I was wondering if there's something better. Thanks. Yeah, Daddy Jones. Yeah, thanks. Because this is going a bit slow. Yeah. I was wondering, say thanks for telling. Okay, Daddy Jones, DMT. All right, let's see. Thanks. Yeah, that's going a bit too slow. Yeah, and everything's. Shout out, Daddy Jones.
Dude, last night was one of the wildest experiences I've ever had.
I'm glad to hear that. It was fun to watch you.
Wow, dude. I can finally say I've done DMT.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The way you did it too, like the way you helped guide us through it, and by doing the Wim Hof breathing up front and like timing out all of the hits and understanding what to expect, like you really made it a super enjoyable and comfortable experience. So first of all, thanks for doing that, man. That was a really cool thing for me to
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it means a lot. Actually, I wasn't that. I realized later that I'm not that good of a guide, even though I've done it so many times. And that I put a lot of effort into understanding what it actually requires to guide somebody. So it means a lot that you're saying that.
Yeah, no. You did a fantastic job. I wasn't expecting all of that sort of like warm up to it. So I thought that was great. And it's kind of been crazy to process over the last 8 hours. When I used to think of DMT, I thought of it more of something you would get from like a
DMT, that a lot of people experiencing similar things. Emphasis on similar. Like very similar, but similar. And I asked, because I've done it so many times, I asked myself, okay, wait a second. I don't think there's any possibility at this point for me to believe that this is somehow mind-made, whatever we call mind-made, right? And then I asked myself, okay, well, if the space is real, is there anything we can do to prove that it's real? And one of the first things that came to mind is like, well, if we can find something that is exactly the same in that space for everybody, that puts us in a good place to start talking about it.
Like a repeatable experiment.
Well, repeatable experiment would be the thing that would show you that it's the same.
And luckily, I have a discount code to help you get hooked.
And that terrified me. And we can sit in a room. I had 15 people in a room at the same time, talking about it, pointing to it. You can literally talk about it like you talk about a regular object in a room. This is how coherent it is. That's the gist of what I found.
And how many people have you shown this to that have seen it?
Me personally, hundreds of people. I know of, I keep saying at least over 1,000 that I just want it to be, as concrete as possible. So I counted like how many people reached out and told me this is how many people I showed, this is how many people saw it.
Yeah.
So I calculated all of that. It was, at that point, it was like 980 people.
Right.
So this was 5 months ago. So I'm pretty sure there's like, at this point, it's kind of like this little subcultural thing, and people just, there's communities that are forming around it. People kind of talk about it, all that stuff. Yeah. So
I think this would be a good point. Maybe we should show the trailer.
Sure.
Let's show that to people. Steve, can you pull it up? It's called The Discovery, right? Just type in The Discovery DMT on YouTube. You'll find it.
All right. Let's see what we got here.
All right. Full screen that bad boy.
By the way, I want to mention that, pause for a second. I'm sorry. I just want to mention that the director of this trailer and the film we're working on is Aaron Vanden. He truly is incredible. He came up with this thing in less than a week. It's just unbelievable. I think where credit is due, and it's very important to mention.
Shout out to Aaron.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
I remember things very vividly from a very young age. When I was a little kid, I actually spent a lot of time with my grandparents. My grandfather was a nuclear physicist. I remember he was telling me about black holes, and that terrified me.
I was like, that's just mind-boggling. It's a monster, right?
But at the same time, it fascinated me. And I said to myself, how do we know that? This unthinkably massive thing. I realized that nature doesn't keep secrets. It's only a matter of, do we understand? What tools can we use to expand our knowledge? And for me, dimethyltryptamine, also known as DMT, was the tool that led me to the discovery.
When I first saw the phenomenon, I was like, holy shit!
But then it was actually like, whoa, what is happening?
Am I losing my mind? But then I showed other people, and things kept getting weirder.
Just for the record, I haven't told him anything. Okay, just tell me what you see.
Oh my God, come on.
Wow, what the fuck? Holy shit. I just saw something. Yeah. What the fuck?
Oh, I've seen that. I feel it.
I've been under the influence of mind-altering substances a lot, but I've never seen anything like that. Whoa.
I showed over 100 people, and I kept asking myself, how are all of us seeing the same thing?
Oh my God, it's changing shapes right there.
The laser was revealing numbers and letters running in a pattern.
They're almost like this big here, and it looks like code.
It looked like...
That was a thick laser.
That's why I told you.
Something, and I just want to take a picture of it and translate it.
Did you say you tried this? Have you tried this shit?
Wow. You see that?
Okay, so yeah, it's not stuck.
No.
It's not because of the light.
No, it's on its own side. Light is just literally revealing it.
And
each angle shows you different layers, different ways through it.
I could see through the wall. It's not like a hallucination. It has spatial awareness and permanence. I don't know. Whoa.
For centuries, mankind has attempted to explore these psychedelic, altered states, but We've never had a repeatable, testable phenomenon to observe until now.
I'm obsessed.
It's like you can see through the laser into another dimension.
I mean, like, take yourself to that. Like, I just made a connection that nobody made before, which is a simple connection. The claim is, if you project a diffracted laser on the surface and you smoke DMT, you will see code running in surfaces. Yes, like in the Matrix.
So there are a few possibilities. One,
I lost my mind, which is the coolest losing your mind ever in history.
The second option is that
this is the biggest discovery of humankind. If anybody ever asked themselves what it would be like to know you live in the Matrix for sure, well, I know for sure. I'm convinced.
So where do we go from here? All I know is
it's about to get crazy.
Okay, I just thought I'd.
So what gave you the idea to throw this, first of all, create this diffracted laser and shine it on the wall while you were on DMT?
Well, that's what the movie is going to be depicting, basically. A lot of it is what are the moves that I had to take to kind of figure it out. It took years. Basically, so the question of whether the space is real is not the first time that anybody's asking this question. As you, of course, know, because you had people on the podcast like Gallimore that are literally involved directly with these investigations on a scale of like actually putting it in a lab and, you know.
Right.
So that question is already out there. I actually wasn't aware that more serious people are asking this question when I asked myself that question. I just had a set of experiences that were so real. So like everything you experienced yesterday, I've had it for years, right?
Yeah.
Then I had a set of experiences that was one level above that, if you can imagine that, which is it just became like my regular space. So I came back from actually a meditation retreat, and I always say I'm not sure it's necessarily related, but that's how it happened chronologically. And something tells me that maybe there's something there. Maybe there was something about I was aligned enough, pure enough. I have no idea. But basically, I was called to smoke it and smoked a bunch of it. And then I realized after about 45 minutes that I was just staring at the ceiling. Nothing happened. Now, that's impossible, right? I smoked a bunch of it and then I realized, oh, nothing happened. Now, there's a phenomenon on DMT called a whiteout, which is that if you smoke too much, you don't even realize you went. Like you just have a complete, like you don't even realize that anything happened. Is it possible that that's what happened? Sure, I can't know, but I think I know the space enough to say, I don't think so. I think it was just like nothing happened. And then after 45 minutes, I had this thought, which is something that Terence McKenna said once in one of his talks. He was talking about mushrooms, but he said, this is not a drug. This is an alien disguising as a drug. And then I thought, wait, what if it's actually not kind of or a metaphor, or what if it's actually aliens talking to us through these molecules through the mind space, which is somehow the real space? Like what if the mind is the real space and this is all just like kind of a reflection of everything? So then the second I thought that, you know how you have this dial in your brain responsible for how seriously you take a proposition? Like there's a difference between thinking there's a fire in the house and knowing there's a fire in the house. There's an emotional response attached to the second proposition, right? You're like, oh yeah, we got to get the fuck out of here. Okay?
Right.
So the proposition, is this an actual alien civilization, went to full red in my head for a second. Like I was just convinced of that. Like the state that I occupied with my presence was just like, oh, this is an alien civilization talking to us. Now, I had this thought after 45 minutes after smoking DMT. I did not smoke anymore. In that instance, everything flashed white. I didn't smoke anymore. I don't even know how that's possible. Everything just flashed white, pow, like everything. And I heard whispers all over the room. It's like, ah, he's paying attention. What do we say? Like, now, it wasn't English, but it was, I understood that that's what it was, right? I was like, and then a frog dude appeared right next to me, next to my bed, and he was as real as you. He was tangible. He was coherent, in space, standing. And in that moment, I was like, okay, I think I really did it this time. I was like, I was just staring at it. I was like, and then he basically, the whole room pointed at my guitar. And I was like, oh, they want to communicate to like music theory or whatever. I'm like, I'm just practicing. I don't know anything about that. They're like, just go to the guitar. So
The 60s and 70s just came back to me. Purple haze.
got up, went to the guitar, pick up the guitar. He disappears from one side of the room and appears right next to me, like in the speed of light, just like right next to me. And then he puts his frog fingers where I'm supposed to strum and, you know, do the chords.
Yeah.
And he's like, do this. And I was like, and I'm trying to follow, and I'm still, you know, I'm still like all shaken up. Yeah. And I'm like, so I'm trying to do this, and all of a sudden, a melody starts to come out, like actual music. Slow, because I'm following slowly, but it's like clearly this is a thing, right? And he's like, you don't know how to do this. I'm telling you how to do this. This is real information. I'm real. And I was like, I was just frozen. I was like, oh my God. And then in that instance, the only thing that came out, I just in the other room, I had
I gotta say, there's different sides to this and everything. I know for me, man, this just a few months ago, this antibiotic that I was taking almost killed me, right? And sometimes, because I can stay inside here too much sometimes, you get cabin different sides to this. You start to hear things, see things. I know stuff. For me, that's because that he's not good. It's just right. But a few months ago, this antibiotic that I was taking, this drug killed me, right? I started to see sometimes ghosts, because I could stay inside here too much sometimes. The thing is, I'm not saying this happened to him. I start to hear things, see things and stuff. I just put out examples and stuff that I've been through, right, with different things. And I saw this beautiful girl also. This drug she looked like a princess. And I was starting to see ghosts. I knew she was fake. Stuff like that. The thing is, I'm not saying this is happening to him. I'm not saying this is happening to them or anything. I just putting out examples and stuff that I've been through with different things. And I saw this beautiful girl also, because she looked like a princess. Like I guess with him or thing people, I knew she was fake. Is that I knew this thing. I see things. I started kicking the air. I had to kick the air. That's finally trippy when you see. And things that are not really there, they seem real. And see, so you have to kick it like that for it to go away. The thing is, like I guess with him or so the people, is that I knew this big. I see things. I'm going, oh I mean, so this is the is that for me fucking trippy when you see things that are not really there. They seem real. And you have to kick it for it to go away, for that apparition to go away and everything. Yeah. But I mean, this is that for me. Yeah, me, like I said, I just give examples of, I never see this video or anything like that, so there's a lot more. But if it's replicated with other people, then you're making it, you make it more valid, there's more credence, more evidence to it, and stuff like that. Yeah, me, like I said, I just give examples of, a lot of these. I've never seen this video or anything like that, so there's a lot tribal more people. If it's replicated with other people, there's spirituality to them, making it. How they could make it more valid, more credence, stuff like that, more evidence to it, or whatever, this stuff like that. A lot of these herbs, I like to try to use my own tribal people of doing things. These things. It's just not like something hijacking my head, but if this stuff is real, I'd be definitely tempted to try it. It's just I want it in a controlled setting and everything. But I want to do it where I am right now. For me, I want to do it with like to try people my own way, but make sure I'm okay. Blood pressure. It's just out like something hijacked in my head. I want to control situation. If this stuff is real, I'd be definitely
Airbnb guest. I was renting out the other room. It was a PhD postdoc, because I lived right next to UCLA, from Italy. His name was Marco. And I just exclaimed his name because I was just like, Marco! And it was like 2 a.m. So luckily he didn't get up, because I always say, like, what would I tell him? That a frog dude from another dimension taught me how to play the guitar, right? So then I was like, okay. So then he didn't wake up. I called my best friend. He came over. I was like, you got to get here right now. He came over. And I told him what happened. And I'm like, you don't understand. This is real. And he goes like, and now this guy, we've done everything together. Like we've went really wild, did a bunch of things. So he's not new to this, right? And even he looked at me and went, I think you need to lay down. And I was like, no. You don't understand. This is real. And he's like, he couldn't accept that. Mm-hmm. So then from that moment on, when I started doing DMT, it was like literally like a phone call. Like I would do it and they would just appear. Not always like that frog dude, but they would be very coherent in space and they would like explain things to me, talk to me. And I was like, this is insane. Like, and this was going on for like a year, right? And then I realized, I started reading online and I found that this is a thing. Like some people experience this new level of like talking to aliens, like they always come to them, like all that stuff. In fact, there was this one case that I was mentioned because it was really funny to me. Here in Florida, there was this guy who's a therapist, and this started happening to him, which is like he started talking to aliens on DMT, and he just dropped everything. He just did that full time, and eventually he had to go.
Quit his job?
I don't know if he quit his job, but he just stopped doing everything he was doing, and then eventually he himself had to go to a shrink.
Oh my God.
And then the other guy told him, okay, listen, you're not talking to an alien.
Be going to Social Security on food stamps and everything. But yeah, I mean, if you could do that, yeah, I'd be, yeah, you'd like to get away from society. You'd say, fuck computers, and I would. With Social Security, I mean, one thing that I'd like to do is get away from where I am. And a lot of going to Social Security and actually do more with. But yeah, UFOs, I mean, if you could do that, ETs, yeah, because I find that I communicate more with away from ETs than I do with people. Fuck computers. I actually do a lot of ways. I mean, it's one thing I'd like to do is get away from where I am. And a lot of ways get away from people and actually do barrier UFOs and ETs. Because I find that I communicate more with ETs. You want to stay that high than I do with stay that realm. I actually do have all these abilities and everything.
And you got to stop doing that, right? But the funny thing is, he was talking to aliens. That was real. It's just that we don't know what to do with that, which is kind of like where I landed. After about a year of this, I was like, okay, how do we prove this? I was trying to ask them. People ask me, who is them? Well, people like that frog dude, like whomever that is, right? Mm-hmm. And it was always very esoteric. It was never something that was applicable to our space. It was like, oh, when we jump into your body and you do this, the whole room folds in half. Oh, great. What do I do with that, right? So eventually I just kind of said, okay, cool. Like, I'll come visit, but that's about as far as I can go with this because now luckily it didn't actually really infringe itself too much into my regular life. I just kept on doing everything I was doing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, at a certain point I had to kind of let it go. And then that was the beginning of all of this. And eventually, because I kept on thinking about this, like how do we prove this? And this is what the movie is going to be about. Mm-hmm. Things started happening to me, like hints that would appear, things that would, show up at the right time. And I just eventually kind of was led to this conclusion that if you project this laser, something is supposed to happen.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Holidays on the house with DraftKings Casino. With this season's offerings, you'll unwrap everything you wished for, from table games and jackpots to a slot at the top of everyone's list, Jingle Bells Power Reels. Like I've said before, I love DraftKings because I can jump in whenever I want and whenever I have downtime and not have to worry about dodging potholes while driving to the casino.
Like the number 42 would appear for me, it wasn't like that. It was in instances that just like way beyond the possibility of just like a statistical fluke, right? So basically, one example would be like I would be thinking about this subject and I would be in traffic and I would lift my head and I would see a truck right in front of me and it would be so dirty, like all muddy. And it would be one tiny area where it just wiped clean and with a 42 written with a Sharpie on the back window. Like things like this. It's a little bit different, right? That still can be said, okay, well, you know, maybe your eyes saw a lot of numbers in that moment and only when it lands on that, that's when you register.
Yeah.
I accept that. That's fine. But the first hint that appeared for me, which is something that I didn't tell you yet, but the first hint that appeared for me was these numbers on the floor. You know, the Department of Water and Power, they write these numbers on the ground. You familiar with that?
No.
So Department of Water and Power, they write things. You'll notice it. That like, now that I told you, you'll notice it. Sometimes on the pavement, you'll see like random numbers written down with like almost like a spray or something.
Oh, like on the sidewalks. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. No,
they represent what kind of power lines or water lines go through that thing. Okay. So I'm an editor and I was working on a music video and I couldn't fix a color problem for hours. So I decided to take a break. I went on a stroll. It was the middle of the night. I went to Ralph's to get a sandwich. It was right next to Pierce College. I walk around and I'm thinking about this subject, which is every once in a while I would think about it, like how do we prove that this space is real? One of the things that was very clear to me is that light had to be involved, and I knew, because you can see it with your eyes, and I knew that there's supposed to be some kind of an entry point to the space in which we're supposed to all see the same thing, which is what I told you in the beginning. If it's not clear, you can stop me at any point. Okay. Even if the space is infinite, we all sometimes experience it and sometimes don't experience it, right? That means that we enter the space somehow. Something happens and then you're aware of it, right? So there's an entry point in which it's supposed to be the same for everybody. Or at least that was my conviction or my thought, right? So then I knew light was involved. So what I was thinking about was the double slit experiment. Specifically in the context of quantum computers and how they work, and the fact that something happens when decoherence happens in the double slit experiment is that right before the particle decoheres from the wave function and it becomes part of, you know, whatever is real, or at least according to the many worlds interpretation, it basically interacts with all the instances of itself across all the parallel universes. Now, this sounds highly theoretical. However, the only reason that quantum computers work is because this is a fact. Okay, so this is not enough people talking about it, but according to David Deutsch, who also is the father of the Deutsch equations, who actually made quantum computers possible, so he definitely knows what he's talking about, that's the only coherent interpretation of what's going on, which is that the reason that quantum computers work, which is, you know, you can make these enormous calculations in an instance. You know anything about quantum computers?
Yeah, I know a little bit about them. Yep.
Is because we literally distribute the computation power across all the worlds. So all the adjacent parallel universes to you are doing the exact same calculation as you are in that instance, and then you have an equation that helps you understand what part of the sliver of possibilities of it occurring this way you are, and that's what allows you to do the calculation. But the important thing for our story is that basically the fact that quantum computers work tell you that the possibility that parallel universes are real, it makes it a very, very real possibility. And that's what I was thinking about. And then I noticed that the stoplight, the way that it was changing colors, looked different from each color. It was the middle of the night, so I had not a lot of things to pay attention to. So I noticed that when it changes from green to red to yellow, the way that the light is distributed on the edges, if you squint your eyes a little bit, looks different. It's like a different pattern. Now, I knew that there's a lot of possible explanations here. Maybe the glass sits a little different. Maybe they use a different glass for each color. Who knows, right? But the second I thought that, in the context of the double slit experiment and how light behaves, I thought, would it be possible to utilize these properties to communicate between the worlds? Would it be possible to send a signal, just like quantum computers work, to actually send some kind of a signal between the worlds? And when I thought that, I had this very strong sense in me that told me, yes, look there. It was like almost like a person told me that. Now, I wasn't on any substance. I was just walking around, and it was like, yes, look there. I was like, okay. The second I thought that, I looked down and I see these numbers from the Department of Water and Power, And what was interesting about these particular sets of numbers, because to the left of them, there was a line with a circle with a line through it, which kind of made it look like a editing software, like Premiere or something, where you move the dial. So I thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool if this number just matches some kind of a LUT number I have? You know, that will fix my color problem.
Right.
But then I was like, And then I walked away, went, got my sandwich, came back. Coming back, I'm looking, coming from the other side of the street, I'm looking to the other side. I'm like, looked around, nobody's going to see me do this. Fuck it. Just go take a picture of it. Because I felt like it was insane, right? Why would I do that, right? So I took a picture, went back home, put in the numbers in Spotlight. Now, this is important because I didn't Google anything. I just literally, Spotlight on a Mac, the way it works is it looks through your computer and then it looks to the web at the same time. Spotlight is like the search engine on a Mac.
Oh.
Yeah, you basically just, it's like a general search.
I've never even heard of that.
Really? Command space.
Oh,
Spotlight.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, like the Finder thing. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Well, Spotlight is kind of like, it's more like the general one.
Yeah, got it.
And I'm not sure that the Finder searches through the web. I think Spotlight also searches through the web. I'm not sure, but
you're probably right about that.
So basically, it's a series of 6 random numbers is all I put in. And I took a picture of that. Thank goodness, because I don't think anybody would believe me. So I just put 6 random numbers. Now think about this. It searches through both the web and the computer. What are the chances, even if it doesn't find anything of these exact 6 numbers, it would give you something adjacent. Some file with numbers that are kind of close to that. It will give you something, right? Maybe it will give you 5, 6 options.
Okay.
Give me one option. And it was not on my computer. It found something on the web from the entire internet. And it was a number that matched research paper, a physics research paper, research paper by CERN, searching for particles outside of the standard model a year after the discovery of the Higgs boson particle. So I'm sitting there, like,
what was this number? You still have the photo?
Yeah, I'll show you right now. So these are the original numbers.
Okay.
Okay, 081802.
081802.
And notice something about the second number. It kind of looks like 081801, and the only reason you think that is because the second number of the first number is 8, right? So you would think it would be consecutive.
The second one looks like 03.
Exactly. So it either looks 03 or 05 even maybe. But because the first number is 081802, you think maybe it's 081801, right? So anyways, I searched the first one. Doesn't even matter about the second one right now.
Okay.
You see what I meant by the circle with the line through it? It kind of looks like a dial?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So then I'm searching through the web. This is what I got. And this is actually, it's funny because it's like, this is still the music video I'm working on in the background, Premiere.
Steven, can you punch that number into your Spotlight and see what happens?
What's the number?
081802. Now, it also changes according to a computer and to the person and everything, but it's interesting. Let's find out.
081802.
802.
All right, so 08.
Go to Spotlight.
No, not in Google.
Not in Google.
I am on a Mac. That's right.
Yeah, there's a magnifying glass.
Command space, yeah.
There you go.
Spotlight, okay.
081802.
081802. Okay, search. Hex color? It's a hexadecimal
No,
color.
see, mine didn't come up with a hex color even, which is interesting.
Let me see here. Can I zoom in on that?
Search the web. Search the web. Related searches on the bottom.
Oh, fuck, I jumped off. Gasket number?
Is that it? The second one? American Physical Society?
Press on this one?
Abstract, the prospect and stereo collaborations present.
But click on it. Let's see what the paper actually is.
Okay. Stereo collaborations, combined measurement, pure. Was that
what year is this? 2022. So this one was from 2015.
Okay.
So first of all, it is interesting.
Yeah.
Because it also changes from person to person, from time to time.
Right.
Because it depends on a lot of different factors, the way it searches. But that's why I took a picture of this.
Yeah.
Because this, you can't fake this, right? It's just what it was.
Right.
Okay. So then the only other option was the calculator, which is not an option, right? And then this was the only other one. For me, in that instance, that's the only thing that came up.
Okay.
So now I have to be honest, like the paper itself, it wasn't clear to me in the beginning, like what is even the connection? Because it was, I mean, the fact that it was in physics just blew my mind. The fact it was CERN blew my mind.
Right.
But other than that, I couldn't really, the name of the paper, if you want to pull the actual paper out, is Search for Higgs Boson Pair Production.
I found it.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
There it is.
Yep.
Look at that. 081802.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's published 2022 though.
So they do the same paper. They do like another version of it.
Wow.
So it's kind of like based on, and then they do from what I understand, that's how they do it.
Okay.
Right. So we probably need a physicist to actually tell us exactly why they do it this way.
Yeah.
But
so what is the significance of this paper?
So actually there was no significance to this particular paper as far as results.
Okay.
The gist of it was that they were trying to see if there are any particles outside of what we know with higher energies outside of the standard model, which is the accepted zoo of all particles that we know.
I'll be right back. I need to take a leak.
fast forward these bits.
We know about.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
They found nothing, according to the paper. Okay. Further research required, all that stuff. But there was, and this is what we're kind of approaching in the film too, there was some things in the paper, which right now I'm actually in the process of going through, trying to remember exactly what the trajectory was. But there was something in it. I think that's something that led me to, I don't remember in this one what it was. Anyways, we'll approach it in the film. But that's what I mean by the Charlie Day looking in a basement. Like sometimes it's like a split second that you see another thing here.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is what if I show you the original models, they were hilarious. They were like, just look so janky and crazy.
I have to fast forward
So anyways, I ordered this laser. There you go. That's what it is. This look at the original beam, how wide it was.
Oh wow.
See? And this is kind of like this is what it looked like. You had to get this, you had to like solder this thing. I try to put like microscope lens on top of it. Like I played with all kinds of ideas for it. This is like a really wild one.
They make those ones at Home Depot you can get for people that are like trying to cut stuff.
You can't use that.
You can't use that.
No,
Okay.
most of them are too powerful and they are too narrow and you don't have a way to make it wider. So it's too concentrated, you're not going to see anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, by the way, I don't want to waste any time on the podcast. The laser I could get is the ones that you...
It's funny, I've always thought about, lasers, how you take a laser apart and see if you see numbers and stuff like that with the laser and everything like that. I always wonder about how if you could break these things down, stuff like that, like molecules out of photons, stuff like that and everything.
You have to kind of like wire and do all that stuff. You couldn't just get a laser pointer.
It was nothing like this?
Well, this is essentially the same laser inside of the box. It's just that we already put the circuit and everything inside.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is what I was... If I show you the original models, they were hilarious. They were like, just look so janky and crazy. So anyways, I ordered this laser. There you go. That's what it is. This look at the original beam, how wide it was.
Oh, wow.
See? And this is kind of like this is what it looked like. You had to get this, you had to like solder this thing. I try to put like microscope lens on top of it. Like I played with all kinds of ideas for it. This is like a really wild one.
They make those ones at Home Depot you can get for people that are like trying to cut stuff.
You can't use that.
You can't use that.
No, most of them are too powerful and they are too narrow and you don't have a way to make it wider.
Yeah, so he had a wide one. I can see that spread out. Yeah. So
it's too concentrated, you're not going to see anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, by the way, I don't want to waste any time on the podcast, but I really want to show you how wild the 42 was. So I don't even know if you will understand what's going on here, but this is me sitting in front of on my desk, in front of the window and just working, crossing my legs. And I'm looking in the window, I'm like, wait, what the fuck? I'll show you
what is that you're looking at?
Yeah, I'll show you.
A piece of luggage?
No, I'll show you right now. You won't be able to see just by twisting it. I'll show you. It's crazy. Like this is like, we're not talking about on like digital clocks, right? This is what it's reflecting. Look.
This is a reflection that I'm sitting crossing my legs that looks like 42.
Uh-huh.
Look what it's actually reflecting. This,
yeah.
Right?
Your pants?
Yeah.
Whoa. That's wild.
So shit like that, right?
Yeah.
So then, so I ordered the laser. It comes. I solder the thing. I turn it on. I smoke DMT. I see code in the surface. So in that instance, actually, maybe not that seriously, but maybe a little bit. I thought, oh, it's a schizophrenic outbreak. Because numbers are talking to me. I'm searching for this thing, right? Like delusions of grandeur, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm seeing this thing. Also, I was in the beginning of my 30s, maybe like mid 30s, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the age where it happens, if it happens. You know what I mean? So we kind of matched. Now, I knew myself enough to know that can't be, because I felt normal. But it was a real possibility that crossed my mind. But then I started showing other people.
How did you know to get like right up close to the wall and like look into it?
Oh, no,
like
I
that?
just saw it from far away.
You saw it from far away?
Yeah, I just saw it right away.
Wow.
Yeah, I just saw it right away. It was a little blurry to me because I didn't, but I saw something. I saw like these, like some kind of a letters or code running or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the And then I already had like a long set of experiences that were very realistic. But that was a different level. That was like a different thing because it just looked normal. Right?
Yeah.
And then everybody started seeing the same thing.
Yeah.
And eventually it just got to a point where I showed like almost 100 people. It was like 80 something people. And that's when I was like, all right. Then I started emailing scientists. I actually emailed Donald Hoffman, which I never get to tell him fully what it is. I mean, I think soon I probably will, but He just was going through like some kind of a medical procedure, and he was recovering. He actually reacted. It responded. It was very nice. But then he was like, well, I'm just recovering right now. And he gave me the list of all his PhD students. He's like, here, these are the people that I'm, under me, and they're very smart people. You should talk to them, whatever you want to say. I felt like I need to talk to him, not to them. But anyways,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So yeah, now take yourself through writing that email. What do you say? Right? It's not that easy. It's like, hey, I discovered, this code in the wall.
Sure. How many different scientists did you reach out to?
Maybe 4 or 5. It was spacing on his name right now. Gary Altman. Altman, yes. Okay. Right? The guy who studies UFOs. He's a cognitive scientist. Yeah. And Donald Hoffman. Did I reach out to Bernardo Kastrup? I think maybe I have. Nassim Harmain. How do you pronounce his last name? You know?
Not sure. No.
Okay. And
I know you talked to Gallimore.
Yeah, and I think I reached out to Gallimore.
Okay.
And Gallimore I actually met later. Actually went and met him. He recently was also on my podcast. Super nice guy. And so these are the people that I reached out. Maybe actually a few more. But the point is that I was trying to basically go through this, like talking to scientists at the same time, showing to people.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, well, it wasn't really getting a lot of traction. It was just kind of like people.
Yeah. What were their reactions? What were their initial reactions to it? You're saying, hey, I smoked DMT. I looked inside this laser, and I'm seeing.
No, I never got to that. I basically told them, look, I have strong reasons to believe. If I remember the wording of the emails, they were along the lines of, I have strong reasons to believe I found something very significant. Oh, I actually reached out to David Deutsch, which was interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would love to just take 10 minutes of your time to explain something like that. And we never got to the point of like me actually telling them what is the process. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was really interesting because David Deutsch, he's a really known scientist. It's kind of like very famous.
I've heard the name.
Yeah. And then he was one of my biggest influences as far as like how to think about these things more concretely, but still with an open mind. And I reached out on Twitter, now X, and he actually texted me back right away, and he was like, "Well, you're gonna have to make this more publicly known, and I'm sure that others can help you, but at the moment I can't help you." That's what he said, which was interesting. I'm like, why would you even?
Is he tied to like a big academic institution?
Yes, but I never told them the specifics. I think it's just that I'm not known enough. I don't have like a whole track record of accolades running in front of me. I get it. Like it's not. There was never like hard feelings. But then I decided, okay, well, this is important, and also I don't know if I can figure all this out by myself. I need to get people's attention. So the one thing I did know how to do a little bit is to make content. So I was like, well, I'll just make a video about it.
Right.
And it's the only time in my life where I kind of had some respect to authority, because I usually don't have a lot of that. And I basically asked inside the DMT space, I was like, is it okay if I talk about this? And the reaction was
inside the DMT space.
Yeah, it was basically, just like the frog dude appears, there's someone there.
Oh, you went there and you asked him.
Yeah. I was like, hey, is this okay to talk about this? And the reaction seemed to be unanimously, oh, this is not like a secret. This is just like, it's there. Like, if you can figure it out, you can figure it out. We can't tell you anything, but if you can figure it out, great.
Okay.
So then I started talking about it. And at first on YouTube, it didn't really get that much traction, but it got me enough attention from people that started inviting me to like different events to kind of talk about it a little bit. And that's where the journey really kind of started. I went to Costa Rica. I was invited to this event to talk about that. After that, I met a lot of people through that, started talking about it more, put out a second video. And then eventually somebody convinced me to do a TikTok video because I was really not into TikTok. I was, and I didn't know this, but on TikTok, actually things go viral a lot easier and with a lot bigger scale. And I have to say, I was actually surprised with how well-intentioned most people on TikTok are. So the different platforms, they have like a different vibe of whatever that is.
Oh yeah.
I was really surprised.
Interesting.
Yeah. And when the first video went viral on TikTok and it went to a few millions, that's when it really kind of started kicking off.
That's weird because I've never even thought to engage with any comment or even read any comments on TikTok ever. It's too fast. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and there's a lot of noise just like everywhere else, especially because you have a lot of interactions. But I found personally the most kind of like balanced interaction of people that are genuinely interested to engage.
Right.
And on Reddit, everybody just wants to voice their opinion, right? It's kind of like this very opinionated thing. X is similar, and I guess it's more mainstream.
Yeah.
X is almost like a mainstream Reddit, basically. And YouTube is just a longer game. Well, you know, it's a longer arc, right? So you have to really kind of like put in the work and put in the years, and eventually the algorithm starts to actually...
YouTube, the comments on YouTube are more of like a competition of comedy. I've noticed.
That's funny.
You know, because the best comments that people like the most go to the very top when you're looking at it.
Oh, I see. And whomever is the funniest.
They're ranked from like the most people can relate to it, or maybe the funniest.
Got it.
So I feel like that's, yeah, you're right. There's a very different sort of attitude and vibe to the comment sections and the way people engage with those platforms.
Yeah. So my surprise was that on TikTok, at least, it was clearly where people like truly engaged in a way of like, okay, what is it? Like, tell me. Like, I want to understand. Instead of just immediately vomiting whatever it is that you think.
Yeah.
Of course, there's that as well.
Right.
But I had a lot of people that genuinely kind of reached out.
Okay.
Right. So anyway, so that's when I kind of started getting a little bit more traction, and I think it's around the time where Aaron Venden, the director who is now we're working on this film together with, he reached out because he said that he saw some of my interactions on Reddit and he liked the way that I was talking to people. So then we, you know, he's like, hey, I want to do something with it, and then a year after that we met up. We started kind of reconstructing what all this whole thing is. By then, there was already kind of like this thing going where there was these communities and people were talking about it and people making lasers and exchanging notes.
So people on Reddit were trying this experiment on themselves?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Not just on Reddit. Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah. And I think now the reason you...
This is it's very interesting. I mean, I thought when I was younger and I look at lasers, I remember way back in the 80s, and I could see how if you had a laser a certain way, you could see particles, right? And everything. I would think like, what was it? What's these particles? What are these particles in this laser doing? And it's like if you have a certain type of laser, and I know for the longest time, you can put information in lasers, right? You can put information in there, you can back stuff up, just like with crystals. You can store information in crystals as well. And how you do that, how lasers can read messages as well. So this makes sense. It actually makes sense in a lot of ways, but going to like other dimensional and talking to other extraterrestrials, that's a huge other step, but it'd be interesting. That is interesting, and I think there are different ways of. For me, I don't think you need mathematics to know that these planes exist. You know, for me, I know that these planes, other dimension stuff exist. It's just that that's how you want to find it. That I say go for it. Whatever helps a person evolve, whatever helps a person higher learning and higher consciousness, whatever helps, do it as long as it's safe and stuff. Yeah. So you think that they're just interdimensional or what?
mean, I don't like Neil deGrasse Tyson. I hate the guy because he's lied about UFOs and he's worked inside the Pentagon. He's for keeping UFOs and ETs a secret. Um, I know ETs are real. I see these things, so I know that they're real and stuff like that. And I mean, me, I know there are other dimensions and stuff like that. I know there are ETs and AHI. So, you know, um, stuff from different planets, be extra dimensional, etc. I just think it's a lot bigger how reality is. It's a lot bigger than what anybody thinks. You know, it's like when somebody, there's this other video on how we're like in a prison in sort of a way because we cannot see what's really out there in our flesh bodies and everything, but our spirit is made of energy and our flesh keeps us from seeing the outside world, the other dimension that's really out there and stuff. Right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, everyone, has their take on stuff like that. I mean, for me, it's more like all the above. Different planets or other dimensions. I believe it's more of all the above and everything. And from what others know that have been around the military, as they know that some have come from Center Reticuli or whatever, and some have come from this dimension or this other time and space. There's a lot of different things, different factors that goes into all of this and everything. Um, but I think for me, I need to. I'm getting dead tired, and I need to take a shower and stuff like that, and get ready for other stuff. Um, so, right. Yeah, and like I said, there's a lot of different factors, a lot of different things um, that come into play with what's really out there and everything. It's a lot bigger than anybody thinks. Yeah, you take care. Have a good night.